CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 6 o'clock on Tuesday, August 25th. Sunny today to start, but we are expecting a few clouds to roll in. Highs of 24, a humidex of 29. There's the quick look. We'll get to the full details in a moment. Right now, the news begins. Here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan, and good morning. We're talking about trade, of course. What exactly Canada's retaliatory measures will include remains unclear amid a clear disagreement between Canada and the U.S., and also between some of the premiers and Prime Minister Mark Carney in the past over whether energy should be used as a bargaining chip in these negotiations. CTV's Ottawa Bureau Chief Graham Richardson has more.
What we don't really know is how bad this is behind closed doors, how much of it is posturing, because there's billions at stake, right? Like, the number one customer for crude in Alberta, of course, is the United States of America. You cannot just do this without getting industry buy-in and without getting a premier's buy-in, who has said to date she has no interest in doing that. So complicated, to say the least.
A press conference to announce Canada's retaliatory plans and plans to protect businesses and workers impacted by U.S. tariffs gets underway this morning around 8 in Ottawa. Meantime, lots of chatter stateside as well about the deal that Canada ultimately walked away from. CTV's Abigail Beeman explains how U.S. officials are describing why talks broke down.
They were offered quite a good deal. They chose to reject it.
They came in with a bunch of unreasonable last-minute demands.
One by one, members of the Trump administration blamed Canada for leaving a so-called good deal on the table, suggesting the Prime Minister walked away for his own political gain.
It certainly doesn't make economic sense, but perhaps for political reasons, they have some by-elections coming up. They wanted more, and we were prepared to do that.
A number of trade experts believe talks could resume later this fall after a cooling off, while the Vice President himself characterized negotiations as still ongoing.
Fresh tariff threats on Canadian vehicles and parts have raised concerns in Windsor, Ontario, which is the heart of this country's automaking industry. The mayor of that community, Drew Dilkins, says the levies would cost jobs if imposed, but he hopes sensible minds will prevail before then.
This is a layering on of more pain and more cost that is completely unnecessary, because the environment that we created, this trade environment we created, we built it together. We built it as an integrated supply chain, and for good reason.
Dilkins pointed to the upcoming U.S. midterm election as a chance to highlight the potential consequences of a tariff dispute in swing states such as neighboring Michigan. Flight attendants in WestJet are pleased they've ratified their new collective agreement with the airline. More than 90% voted in favor of the deal that features a more than 18% wage hike over the course of 3 years, as well as new compensation models for work hours completed on the ground, which was a major sticking point with the flight attendants. New contract is in effect from January of this year and runs for the next 3 years. So that means less turbulence for you if you're thinking of flying WestJet. A man who killed 3 generations of a BC family during a camping trip in the 1980s has been denied parole again. David Ennis shot and killed 6 members of the Johnson Bentley family while they were camping in 1982. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. Crystal Wolfe is the great niece of Bob Johnson. She says the family continues to keep the names of the victims alive.
My grandpa talks about his brother and his nieces. We just keep the memory alive. We continue just to talk of who they were, the funny stories that used to be had. In West Bank or West Kelowna, there is a swimming pool there, and it's Johnson Bentley Memorial Pool, so it's named after them. So when you go in, you see their pictures.
A decision from the Parole Board of Canada says the aggravating factor in its latest denial was Ennis's decision to callously and viciously end the lives of 6 people in order to gain access to a child victim to aim satisfying perverted sexual fantasies. And the Treasury Department in the U.S. said Monday that the Trump administration is now expanding secondary sanctions against, quote, those doing businesses with the Iranian regime. But who those countries are and what they'll face is unclear at this point. ABC's Shannon Kingston in Washington on the Start Here podcast.
The blockade is still in effect, and that has been moving the needle somewhat. And Besson also mentioned quiet diplomacy, the power of quiet diplomacy. We know the Trump administration has been working behind the scenes to put pressure on some of Iran's trade partners to step back, and we saw perhaps that work last week when the UAE announced it would no longer do trade with Iran.
That's your CFAX News to 6:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking, do you agree with the Canadian government's decision to reject the U.S. trade deal as it stands? 94% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Sebastian News time is 6:06.
Thanks, Lisa, and good morning. Welcome to the day. We do still have a chance of showers into the forecast as of later tonight and into a bit of tomorrow. So we're going to get there after sunshine today and a full forecast in a moment. First off, sports time. Let's talk about baseball. Toronto Blue Jays 2 games back of the third and final AL wildcard berth, opening up a 3-game series tonight at the Rogers Center against the red-hot Kansas City Royals. Veteran right-hander Max Scherzer will be on the mound for the Jays, while right-hander Seth Lugo is scheduled to start for the Royals, who have won 8 in a row. Seattle Mariners, meanwhile, they open up a 3-game road series on Friday against the Toronto Blue Jays, but they've been heating up on the road to that series. Carl Raleigh busted out a season-long slump last night with the first 3 homer game of his career as the Mariners beat the visiting Philadelphia Phillies 9-2. In lacrosse, Victoria Shamrocks lacrosse team and the Coquitlam Adnacks heading into Game 6 in the best-of-7 WLA Final Series, which goes tonight in Coquitlam. Adnacks leading that series 3-2. Game 7, if required, will be played Thursday night back at the Q Center. So if the Shamrocks can stay alive tonight, because if they lose that one, it's over. But if the Shamrocks win it, they will get a Game 7 at home on Thursday. Exciting stuff. That's your CFAX Sports at 6:08. CFAX at 70 traffic and weather. Well, I've been kind of hinting at the weather, so let's just talk about that first off. Sunshine to start today. It's going to be quite warm. Already about 15 degrees out there, 14, 15, depending on where you are. A little warmer than some of the previous mornings. And we're going to head towards our warmest day of the week today, a high of 24, but a humidex of 29. So then mugginess back in the air. A little bit of haze could be around as well. So just that smoke haze might be a factor again today. But then on the water, a little bit of breeze blowing off the Waterfuca Strait, cooling things down. So kind of a mix of different conditions around Greater Victoria. But then tonight, we start off clear. It's not until sort of overnight that we start to see the chance of showers moving in. And we'll see that chance of showers with us a little bit after that. Now, it's mainly Wednesday night into Thursday that we will see that chance of showers really form up. So that's the main thing, because tomorrow's sunny. But today, I guess the main takeaway here is there's some rain on the horizon, but today is the warmest day of the week. And for those temperatures like now, I just mentioned, 14, 15 degrees, what we're seeing, although a little cooler at Shawnigan Lake, where it is 13 degrees right now. On to the roads. Let's get there. So, no crashes, no accidents. It's just clear right now. If you see anything, text me at 71010. And at BC Ferries, Swartz Bay to Swanson, 7 o'clock sailing, only about half full right now. On the markets, let's take a look at how things shaped up yesterday. As we await today's opening bells, here's David Augustine.
Canada's main stock index saw some highs and lows ahead of Ottawa announcing retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. today. Toronto's S&P TSX Composite closed up 93 points. In New York, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 140 points. The Nasdaq was down 200 points. Asian markets saw a bit of a mixed bag this morning, with Japan's Nikkei index trading up 328 points. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong closed down 6 points, and our dollar is trading overseas this morning at 72.14 cents U.S. The federal government is set to unveil details of Canada's retaliatory tariffs against the United States today. Those are set to go into effect on September 8th. WestJet flight attendants have voted 90.2% in favor of ratifying a new 3-year deal with the airline, and Ontario students say major cuts to OSAP grants will make it harder to afford school and could force them to take on more debt. The province has reduced the maximum share of non-repayable grants from 85% to 25%, with the rest provided as loans. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm David Augustine.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the day. Welcome to Tuesday. It's got Ryan here. We got Lisa here. Lisa, how you doing?
Do you feel that everybody's kind of holding their breath?
About the Donald Trump tariffs?
No, yeah, just waiting for the shoe to drop. We're waiting for the shoe to drop, right?
What if the other shoe is really stupid?
Well, okay.
Have you heard this one?
Go ahead.
Donald Trump now considering renaming Lake Ontario as Lake America. Have you heard that one? That's a thing.
I don't know what's fake news anymore.
That's just so
Is that
stupid.
wrong in my world? I think that's wrong, especially in my world.
This is the Gulf of America thing again. So I guess he says, Donald Trump says he's considering renaming Lake Ontario Lake America, since he doubts America will be doing much trade with Ontario anymore.
Oh.
It's amazing how quickly him and Doug Ford...
I think there's feelings involved here.
It's how quickly him and Doug Ford have... started to butt heads specifically over this. I very much thought that's a remarkable feature of this whole relationship we have.
I guess Doug spoke out.
Well, he was saying some... Doug Ford had some choice words yesterday, and then...
He had no filter.
No filter choice words. I like that you got Mark Carney as the good cop. He's kind of keeping it pretty straight.
Well, he has to.
And then you got Doug Ford as bad cop.
Premier deciding to just, fire off at will. And, the Ford brothers have that history, recent and beyond.
Yeah.
So he and his brother they're both fire off at will.
Sorry, you wanted to talk about another shoe dropping, and I was just talking about the Lake of Lake of Ontario, America, whatever.
You know what? It's become funny.
Kind of, I guess, yeah.
Because the shock value's worn off a little bit, right? Because there's only so many times that we can cry wolf.
Yeah.
And do the pearl clutching and think, oh my gosh, seriously? And now we're kind of like, all right, after the Lake of Ontario thing, what's next? So there'll be something else. It's always something, and it's tiring. And I think most people, and even people weighing in on social media, were tiring. The thing I noticed yesterday, I thought was quite interesting, is there were a lot of Americans weighing in, perceived Americans, weighing in on Mark Carney's speech afterwards. And they were like, listen to this guy. Like, he's a leader. And take it for what you will. I know it's social media and people do lie. Go figure, right? But I just thought it was interesting that a lot of people, and they had the American accent, were weighing in on it. I'm like, okay, so maybe the average American, well, I do know this for a fact, because the average American, whether it's an individual or a small business owner, is kind of feeling the same weight about all this. It's like, wait a minute, we're here for the business. We just want to do business. We just want to do business with our northern cousin, right? We all want to get along, and everybody feels prosperous. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other shoe, of course, the big one coming today from us is the counter tariffs.
Yeah, learning the details of what we want to do. When we did this last time, it was quite the interesting balance where Canada was trying to find a way to hurt kind of targeted American industries, maybe in targeted states. Florida orange juice hit Florida, for instance.
Yeah.
What will we do this
Maybe
time?
not so much the West Coast.
And it was Harley Davidson motorcycles. It was very specific things.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So what will they do this time? Will it just be taking a page out of that first book when we did this, a year and a half ago? Will this be different? That'll be one of the major things to watch for today. We've also got a few people weighing in from the federal Conservatives. Local MP Jeff Kibble joining us on the line a little later this hour for his take, getting a BC Conservative take. And then from the Green Party, Elizabeth May, another local MP and leader of the Green Party. She's here in the 7 o'clock hour with her take on the trade war and getting some more MPs weighing in. So that's going to be coming up as the day goes on. And, of course, keeping you up to date on whatever latest updates happen, because Lisa's got your news covered. So we'll be here for you as we get into it.
Like America. It's got a ring to it.
Well, let's see what else is going on at 6:16. Here's the news with Lisa.
Let's talk about something from Vancouver instead. Vancouver Mayor Ken Sims says he received a call from the province's health minister informing him that the province is cancelling the proposed drug injection site at the city's downtown core. Sims says he's grateful that the province listened to the voices of residents in the city. Minister Ravi Kahlon says he's directed Vancouver Coastal Health to stand down on the plan, and the decision was made in agreement with the Health Authority. Of course, Ravi Kahlon just taking over that portfolio with Brenda Bailey stepping away. Kahlon says the province will propose alternative programming to meet community needs in the site, including offering treatment and recovery supports. A man who killed 3 generations of a BC family during a camping trip in the 1980s has been denied parole again. David Ennis shot and killed 6 members of the Johnson Bentley family while they were camping near Clearwater in 1982. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. A decision by the Parole Board of Canada says Ennis poses a risk of violent or sexual reoffending that would be unmanageable if he were released again. We now know the soundtrack for when Toronto's Leslie Feist gets inducted into the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame. Wilco frontman Jeff Tweedy and Los Angeles songwriter-producer Phineas will perform Feist songs at the next month's ceremony. A publicist says both artists have been impacted by Feist music and wanted to give a part of the honor for her songwriting. The ceremony will be held in Toronto, hosted by broadcaster George Stroumboulopoulos and singer Maria Mai. It happens on September 26th. That is your news to 6:18.
Thanks, Lisa. See a problem out there in traffic? Let us know at 7:10:10 because we're going to do our traffic and weather in just a moment. 6:20, time for your CFAX traffic and weather. By the way, the morning show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps for four big savings on your heating bill and a comfortable home no matter the season. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. On the roads, as mentioned earlier, it's very easy going out there. No crashes or accidents to report. No volume delays as of yet. You can text me at 71010 if you see any issues causing you trouble out there. At BC Ferries, no sailing waits. It's pretty calm there too. And for the weather forecast today, sunny today, maybe some smoke haze, highs of 24. Humidex at 29, though, quite warm in the humidity. Clear skies tonight, lows to 14. Tomorrow, as the day is going to kind of cloud over, we'll get to a chance of showers by later in the evening and into Thursday. That's where our showers might be now slotting into the forecast. Then clearing up for the rest of the day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the weekend looking sunny this time. Our rain blip is coming kind of Wednesday night into Thursday. And right now, temperature-wise, downtown, I see 15 degrees. At the airport, I see 15 degrees as well.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Here's a silver lining to all of this stuff with the U.S. tariff war and the Canada-U.S. relations and Donald Trump, is it makes the BC politics look a little less insane. But still, I did want to talk BC politics for a second because we had some major updates yesterday. And amongst all of these major Canada versus U.S. stories, we've had another bit of interesting happenings.
A shift, as it were.
Delta South MLA Ian Patton, that's his name. It was actually just as we got off air yesterday, like 9 o'clock, we signed off the show. And then Delta South MLA Ian Patton said he was going to split with the BC Conservatives. Another splitter from the BC Conservatives.
Right.
So he's going to leave the caucus. He's going to sit as an independent for now, but he wants to join Peter Millibar. Now, of course, he's another BC Conservative MLA who's recently left the caucus. So they want to form a party together.
Yes. A party of two.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is where you start.
So we have another one of these.
Right.
So they are going to form a party. I don't think there's a name for this thing yet, but they'd like it to be a center-right alternative.
Okay.
Now, of course, we already have one of those. They call it Centre BC, a center-right party that is currently being led by a former MLA. He's not in the legislature right now, but Mike Bernier used to be a Liberal.
Yes.
A BC Liberal. So they formed right after the BC United collapsed with Kevin Falcon.
Right.
And then you've also got, even further to the right, One BC, the right-wing populist party, which is also made up of BC Conservative splitters. Dallas Brody is the leader. They were official party status briefly, but then the two Conservative splitters who formed the party couldn't get along, and one of them left, so they lost their official party status.
So I'm just busy here keeping a grid for you.
See what I mean? Like this is
like Game of Thrones.
It is hard to keep up with, and now that we've got another one, this Peter Millibar and Ian Payton, deciding they're going to make their own party. I'm like, how do you keep track of all these things? There's so many. So you'll have the BC NDP. They're the government, right? We know them. The BC Conservatives, the opposition. Then you got the BC Greens. We're used to that. That has sort of been the makeup of BC politics for a while.
Yeah.
But it's possible, on your ballot, you could have 5 of these parties being represented, and not even including the fact that we also have a bunch of other smaller parties that'll usually run. You get a few communists on the ballot. Those kind of parties, those smaller parties that haven't really elected anybody in forever, but they still exist.
Here's the upside. Maybe we have to open another paper mill just to get the ballots out.
Yeah, there you go. All of that pulp that is currently struggling.
People have jobs again.
It's just kind of funny to think of how fractured these things are becoming. So the BC Conservatives just shedding members on either side, forming their own parties. I wonder if we actually see any of this last until the election. Do these parties actually gain some traction?
Do they fizzle out before they even start? We'll see. I mean, it depends on the power of the people, the devil's in the details, and the power of the people involved. These two individuals want to go out and make their own party. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot just decide to just sit independent, indefinitely. But there's been a lot of this happening, floor crossing too, changing colors midstream. What that means is, I don't know, I don't like to see our politicians wishy-washy about things. If you don't agree with stuff, I don't know. You got two choices. You either get along, or maybe three. You get along, you leave, or you change a lake's name.
Yeah. But for the record, if you're keeping score, we've got BC NDP, BC Conservatives, BC Greens.
If you're keeping score, it's a Gulf of America and Gulf or Lake America now.
Yeah. So you now have one BC, the further to the right Dallas Brody Party.
Yep.
You've got Centre BC, the former BC Liberals / BC United splitters.
Okay.
And then you've got this new one, unnamed, with Peter Millibar and Ian Payton that they will be creating, they say.
Do you have any diagrams to go along with that?
It's a lot to keep up with. I wonder where this goes.
I have another question to ask you. Something completely different. Have you started shopping for back to school?
Oh, yes, I have, actually.
Good, because you're among the masses. Oh, my gosh. Everyone is back and they're out there.
See,
I tried to get milk the other day. Silly me. No, it was full on. Like over the weekend on Friday? Yeah.
What kind of store?
Well, see, I've never had to shop. Well, I have had to shop for back to school, not for my own children, but this was Walmart. One of the places I went to HomeSense, went to a couple different places. And mothers with their daughters or mothers just out on their own looking at school supplies with a lot of angst on their faces. Like what to buy. I don't know. Is that a rite of passage for the parent? Like, because you want to know your kid's going to use it when you buy it. What do you buy for them? Like, what do you spend on the boys?
Well, I liked elementary school. Here's why. In elementary school, my kids got older.
Simple.
They gave you like just the list. Here is the list.
Okay.
In fact, Monk Office Supplies, local company, they just had this setup going where you could just go to them and say, I got a kid, he's in grade whatever, he's at this school, what do I need? And they would give you a little bundle. Here's your bundle.
That's civilized.
Hand over some money. I can't remember what it cost. Now at the high school and middle school level, which is where my kids are, I feel like it's a little more complicated. So that's going on. But then there's the clothes. So that's where I've been at right now.
Yeah. So what about that?
We've been doing the
Gotta
clothing.
have your new corduroy pants that go shh, shh, shh as you walk down the hallway?
Exactly. But I've found for me, I can't call it back to school shopping because that causes trauma. You just have to sneak in shopping without referring to it as back to school shopping. You need some new T-shirts.
Interesting.
Yeah, you need.
But they know it's back to school. But as long as you don't say it, it's okay.
Yeah. Let's just keep that quiet. We'll all pretend it's not happening.
And so what happens as we get closer to the day? Do people in the house start spinning?
the long faces and the mopey teenager faces come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, the summer's ending, and once they get back, they're okay though, right? Oh
yeah. Well, it's fine.
Not.
It's fine.
Oh, well,
my kids are not. They're just not the
fine as an
school
acronym.
Kids.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, they're also getting into their teens, so it's a little different animal there.
Yeah,
but
that's exactly right.
I always liked going back because my mom would buy me a new outfit.
Yeah, no,
the corduroy pants.
I agree. I didn't mind it so much.
Yeah, it was kind of exciting.
Yeah.
And new teacher, and that's not how you sell it, but I mean, sometimes kids are just anxious about going back. Period. It's different. Is it different for the boys this year? Are they going to different classrooms, different teachers?
Well, for me, I'm happy about this year because last year, both of my kids started new schools at the same time. So they both were going through the culture shock of going to high school for the first time and going to middle school for the first time, which for them were both big leaps.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of that going on in my house, a lot of change and drama, and it was a big learning curve adjusting to new schools.
Right.
This year, they're both going into their same schools again. So it's a little calmer this year because they know what they're in for. There's less anxiety about a new school, a new building, a new everything. So I feel like this one's the easy one compared to last year. That's just my experience.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Well, you're getting the brunt of it. So, you're hearing all about it. Interesting. Yeah, foolscap and pencils and pens.
It's that time of year.
Binders and the right colors. And they've got everything color coordinated. Boy, if you want everything to be purple, they're usually selling it. And different, I don't know, whatever the current anime object is or character, you can get it all. It's pretty wild. But, it is a rite of passage, the back to school. But, yeah, don't be going to the store for milk right now. Especially on the weekend. We're back, and parents are back with a vengeance shopping for kids back to school.
Texter 71010, just on our previous topic, says, I would welcome the return of the Rhino Party. No, we don't need any more. We got too many. I was just saying, there's too many right now.
We don't have enough paper.
I remember the yogic flying party. Do you remember that one?
No. Really?
Their platform was we'll all sit in a circle and levitate.
I like the idea of trying to levitate because I've never been there before, but...
This is in the 90s. They ran for federal politics for a bit. They were kind of fun.
How far did they get?
Not very far.
Okay, good.
Anyway, I just realized it's 6:30 news
look at
time.
that.
So let's go do the news.
This summer, 3 of Vancouver Island's biggest voices are coming together to make a real difference.
Get your tickets now for the Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50.
Brought to you by 107.3 Virgin Radio, CFAX 1070, and CTV.
In support of CFAX Santa's Anonymous all-new Kids Count program, supporting children beyond Christmas.
The Mega Summer 50-50.
Your chance to win big while giving back.
Buy your tickets today at CFAX1070.com.
Gaming event license 174660. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 6:32, and it is Tuesday, August 25th. A little sunshine today, rain by tomorrow evening, and a full forecast in just a moment. Right now, though, it's time for the news. Here's Lisa Best.
Just an update for you of that collision yesterday afternoon near Royal Roads University. It was a single vehicle accident. It took down a hydro pole, affecting both electricity and, of course, gridlocking traffic. Repairs affected about 3,100 customers that had been without power throughout Colwood, Langford, and View Royal. Police say Souk Rose was closed till about 6 for allowing BC Hydro to get those lines up again. BC Wildfire Update has 165 wildfires burning in this province as of this hour, 64 of those considered out of control. There's been 56 new starts in the last 24 hours, 21 fires burning on Vancouver Island, including 3 that are still considered out of control. Crews are making good work of that, though, because 6 were considered out of control yesterday. Firesmoke.ca shows wildfire smoke levels will be a little higher for a few hours into midday across our region, Greater Victoria. It'll slowly start to move out later this afternoon, but a little smoky before that. And stateside, some major wildfires have scorched thousands of acres in North Texas at this point.
Throughout the night, flames lit up the sky over Palo Pinto County, 40 miles west of Fort Worth. The Ross fire has scorched 50,000 acres and is only 5% contained, according to the Texas A&M Forest Service.
The combination of high heat, low humidity, and very dry vegetation is increasing the wildfire risk across the state.
The Forest Service's Laura Stevens, people living in the region have been told to be ready to evacuate. Jim Ryan, ABC News in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Well, to the political fire now that we have on our hands. Canada's counter-tariff details expected to come today, this morning, after the war of words erupting from trade tensions between the U.S. President and Ontario's Premier, Doug Ford. It came after Trump claimed the U.S. did not need Canada and threatened to increase tariffs on the auto and steel sectors to 50% starting in the new year. CTV's Mike LeCouture has the details.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford went after Trump on radio.
Well, he can kiss my ass as far as I'm concerned. We're going to go
go at him full steam.
That comment may have teed off Trump, who responded online with another post, calling Carney governor and Ford a flunky for the prime minister.
You know, your own people, President Trump, don't even like you. And they're going to speak loud and clear when it comes to the midterms.
Ford also floated the idea of export taxes on products the U.S. needs, like energy, potash, and critical minerals. It's something premiers and the prime minister have been hesitant to consider, but in French, Carney said all options are on the table. The prime minister has threatened dollar-for-dollar counter tariffs on the U.S. starting the day after Labor Day.
Stateside ABC's News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott at the White House.
Talk about a tit for tat between the U.S. and Canada. Look, this is one of our largest trading partners. Obviously, it's our closest ally right to the north. President Trump imposed that 50% tariff on about $20 billion worth of Canadian goods. Canada's vowing to respond. President Trump now says that he'll slap 50% tariffs on Canadian car parts, cars, trucks, and steel. And Mark Carney is now saying that he's going to announce even more tariffs, retaliatory tariffs, this morning.
This, as the U.S. president mentions the possibility of now changing the name of one of our Great Lakes.
President Trump says he's considering changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America. This comes as the trade war between the U.S. and Canada intensifies. In a post on social media, the president says the change would be because, quote, we don't expect to be doing much business with Ontario any longer. This change would be similar to Trump's unilateral action last year by executive order to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Canada is expected to retaliate after the Trump administration enacted 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian goods after talks between the countries broke down. Mike Hempen, Washington.
Along with back-to-school gear, Halloween has made a strong appearance at local stores and across North America. Target is apologizing and removing one of their costumes after it was widely criticized as being racist.
The images of the costume are being compared to racist caricatures, evoking blackface. Target now acknowledges the costume should have never been for sale, saying, as a company, we got this wrong, and we are deeply sorry. We know this is especially hurtful for our Black guests, team members, and partners. Removing the costume is an important first step, and we are looking closely at how this happened.
And that's your news to 6:37. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking you if you agree with the Canadian government's decision to reject the current U.S. trade deal. 94% say yes. A lot of people weighing in on 71010 saying, put mine in for a yes as well. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also, the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 6:39.
Thanks, Lisa. Quick look at the weather, where we've got sunny, a little smoke haze today, and it's the warmest day of the week with a high of 24. It's really the humidex that's going to make it feel warm. 29, feeling almost 30 degrees with the humidity. Full forecast to come. Quickly to sports. Victoria's Shamrocks lacrosse team. They are in another do or die situation tonight. It's game 6 of the WLA final against the Coquitlam Adanacs, with the Adanacs leading it 3-2. So the Adanacs could win it at home tonight. But if the Shamrocks can keep things going with another win, There'll be a deciding Game 7 back at the Q Center on Thursday. Exciting action for the Victoria Shamrocks coming up tonight. We'll be watching that. Also in baseball, it's now or never time for the Blue Jays as they get back in action tonight with 30 games to go in their regular season. TSN's Steve Phillips says every single one of these games is against a team that has a losing record.
Nobody would have predicted that this was a chance, right? That with 30 games left, they legitimately have a chance to be a playoff team. Everybody is under 500 on the remainder of the schedule. They've got the second easiest strength of schedule over the remaining part of the season. And so why not the Blue Jays? I think they've underachieved. They're better than what they performed.
Toronto remains 2 games back of a playoff spot this morning. The Kansas City Royals are in town tonight to kick off a 3-game series. And for the Seattle Mariners, they're going to face the Blue Jays coming up on Friday. Cal Raleigh busted out of a season-long slump last night with his first 3-homer game of his career as the Mariners beat the visiting Philadelphia Phillies 9-2. That's your sports to 640. CFAX at 70 traffic and weather. Nothing really happening on the road so far. Looking pretty clear out there. If you see otherwise, you can text me at 71010. For BC ferries, no sailing waits. Everything's looking good there too. And in the weather forecast, sunny today, highs of 24, humidex of 29. So feeling fairly warm in the humidity. Although if you're right by the Juan de Fuca Strait, a little breeze will be blowing today. Actually, we'll have some gusts up to 40 kilometers an hour. So it's not necessarily troublesome winds, just noticeable winds if you're by the Juan de Fuca Strait by this afternoon, which will cool things off right by the water. Clear skies tonight, lows to 14, still breezy. Then tomorrow, that's where we're going to start to see the clouds roll in and a chance of showers by Wednesday night. We could see the chance of showers into Thursday. Then Friday, Saturday, Sunday looks like it clears up and we get back to a mix of sun and cloud. Right now, 15 degrees for a lot of Victoria. On the markets, opening bells just ringing. So I'll tell you how things closed yesterday. S&P TSX was up 93 points to 36,714. The Dow closed up 140 to 53,417. NASDAQ was down 200 to 25,980. Canadian dollar at 72.2 cents US.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, lots of folks weighing in on the trade war. Texter at 71010 says, I agree with our prime minister. What right does the USA have to tell us who we can trade with? I also bought some grapes that I have to take back to the store because they're from the USA, says this texter. Yeah, are you starting to rethink about the choices at the grocery store and which products are American? Because I feel like a lot of folks did that about a year and a half ago when this first emerged.
Oh, yes.
Maybe you'd kind of gone back to old habits.
Yeah, let it slide a little bit.
And now are you rethinking that? I don't know. I was pleased. Here's my quick story with that, because I went to the grocery store. I was at Costco on the weekend. Okay. And I often like to buy the big pack of romaine hearts, the lettuce.
Yes.
But they always come from California.
Great.
However, unrelated to trade wars or Donald Trump, the producer of that particular brand of lettuce has been in the news for some E. coli reasons, or it was salmonella, whatever it was. So I think Costco might have found a different supplier for that reason. Okay. But I was delighted to pick up the pack, and it was from BC.
Well, there you go.
It was a BC supplier.
We can grow it.
But I have noticed that in a lot of stores, ever since a year and a half ago, there's been a subtle shift to a lot of things that used to just automatically come from the U.S., say lettuce.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot more kind of Canadian products just starting to be there more often. So it's a bit easier than it was a year and a half ago, I find.
Well, and that could be because just the current tariffs that are in place. Maybe it's just cheaper for stores to buy locally. We want stores to buy locally, but of course, if you're a business owner, you're going to go for the low-hanging fruit, pardon the pun, and buy, where you're going to get the best profit. So hopefully that's buying locally, or at least buying within the province, or buying from neighboring provinces. It's the kind of strengthening we should be doing all the time, really. And we know this, but, we either get lazy or we just want to go for the cheapest price. We all want that. And if we could go somewhere where the gas was cheaper, if we could make it ourselves, we'd fill up at that particular pump. That's not the case either. By the way, gas has not jumped in price just yet.
That's good. This texter says, many Americans I have had conversations with, I've found very interesting. We have to remember Canada does have their problems too. A lot of talk, a lot of virtue signaling. Sorry, I can't speak this morning. A lot of talk, a lot of virtue signaling. Signaling.
Yes.
Oh. This word is defeating me today.
It's a lot of syllables there.
And nothing really ever gets done, says the texter at 71010.
Well, things do get done, but they're not necessarily the right things, at least not for us. And I don't think this is for the Americans either. The average American, they're good people. But the politics aside, if you can scrape past the politics, but it's difficult to do because that's who we're hearing from.
Member of Parliament for Cowichan and Malahat Langford. He's the Conservative Member of Parliament, weighing in from the opposition side as we continue to cover the story. He's our next guest in a moment. But first to the headlines. And here at 6:46 is Lisa Best.
Been another bear attack. This one North Vancouver on a popular trail. Conservation officers now warning people again to avoid particular trails after a man was attacked on Monday. The service says the bear attack happened while the man was walking on Richard Jern Trail, and apparently was followed by the bear for some time. The man tried to scare it off but failed. The bear ended up swiping at his leg. Officers say signage has been installed in the area and the investigation is ongoing. The U.S. President Trump is thinking about renaming Lake Ontario now. Make it Lake America. It's reminiscent of Trump's unilateral action last year by executive order to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. We still call it the Gulf of Mexico. Trump says he's considering this latest name change because his administration doesn't expect to be doing much business with Ontario anymore. Yesterday, Ontario Premier Doug Ford had the gloves off and the filter too, and he and Donald Trump traded insults in the media as the U.S. trade war escalates. We've got more news to come on that today. And Australia's recorded music industry says tracks wholly generated by AI will be barred from official charts. The move comes as burgeoning generative technologies threaten artists' livelihoods. Australia's Record Industry Association announced a crackdown today as a variation of Madonna's pop hit Like a Prayer. It was created by an Australian producer using AI-generated vocals and drums. It spent 16 weeks at the charts. Have a listen. All AI. The association says some AI-assisted music will remain eligible as long as humans wrote the song and performed the lead vocals and primary instruments, as well as other requirements. That is your news to 6:48.
Boo is all I have to say to that.
Right? And you're a musician.
Exactly.
So
I'm like...
that much just makes you bristle.
It does. You get your back up. Like, what?
Totally.
Anyways, we'll take a break. Traffic and weather coming up. Jeff Kibble from the Conservatives next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. 40 years of Fringe magic. Experience Victoria Fringe Festival, August 26th through September 6th. Feel the roar at Pacific FC. Get your soccer tickets today at cplsoccer.com. West Shore Swap Shop and Market is at Rally at Royal Bay every Sunday. Support Goldstream Food Bank with a $2 admission or a food donation. Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Right now, until August 26th, receive 1,000 Scene Plus points for every $200 Smile card you purchase at Thrifty Foods. On the roads, we're still looking very smooth sailing-ish this morning for your commute in. West Shore commute is looking like it's picking up, but still fairly easy going. No other problems on our major routes. No waits at BC Ferries either. And then the weather, it's going to be the warmest day of the week with a high of 24, a humidex of 29. Mostly sunny today, but a little breeze off the Montague Strait. A little bit of smoke haze could be a feature here and there. Clear skies overnight other than a bit of haze, lows to 14. Tomorrow mainly sunny until the rain arrives. It's just a small chance of showers. I don't think we're expecting a major rain event, but we could see some scattered showers Wednesday night into Thursday. It clears up for Friday and the weekend.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
Well, in reaction to all of the trade war stuff we've been seeing between Canada and the U.S., we've had the opposition Conservatives in Ottawa wanting to see the full details of what the U.S. offered and wanting Parliament recalled. Here to talk more about it from the opposition side, we've got Jeff Kibble. He's the MP as well for Cowichan, Malahat, Langford, and the defense procurement critic for the BC Conservatives. Hello, Jeff Kibble. How you doing?
Bonjour, je suis à Québec ce matin. Good morning, Ryan. I'm in Quebec this morning, and happy to talk with you. I am not with BC Conservatives, of course, but federal Conservatives.
Oh, did I say BC Conservatives?
All good.
I'm so sorry. Yes, obviously the federal Conservatives in Ottawa as a member of Parliament. We were talking BC politics earlier today, so I got BC politics on the brain. But no, great to get you here to talk about the federal issue because, wow, what a wild ride these last few days have been, and great to get you on from the opposition to sort of talk about what we're hearing. We've heard from Pierre Poilievre. He's been making calls for Parliament to be recalled. He wants to see the details, but from the inside of the party, talk about how things are going and how you're reacting to all this.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with him more. We do need to reconvene Parliament, and we need transparency on the abandoned deal. And, we need to work together. And, sometimes when there's internal issues in Canada, it's our democratic duty as the official opposition to expose or question and challenge decisions. But when things are external, as we're facing today, we need to work together. And we've offered multiple times as a party, including our leader, to work together on and supporting, for example, the negotiations. And none of that was, of course, accepted. But I, strongly believe that by reconvening Parliament and debating and proposing and working together to face these challenges is the only way. We need to be united, and we've seen in the premiers they're not united. We need our premiers united. We need to be working together, and this will honor our country and the Canadians who are going to have to pay the price as we go forward into this unknown with these tariffs.
Yeah, it must be an interesting position to be in because as the opposition, your job is to ask tough questions of the government, hold them to account, be that critical lens. So trying to walk the line of still doing that, but also still being supportive of kind of a Team Canada approach, so we can unite against what is sort of a common goal here, and that's working to figure this out together.
Absolutely, and because this is something external that we're facing, we still our democratic role is to certainly challenge the government. But with this external challenge, we still need to work together. And as I said, we've offered help. We've proposed auto pacts in an opposition day motion. We've said we need to unleash our resources and our critical minerals. That if we had stockpiles, we could leverage those. We don't have any stockpiles of critical minerals. This is something that we should have been working on for the last 10 years. So our job is to point that out, to make recommendations and work with the government. And it seems we're not quite sure what's going on inside in the government. They don't share information with us as much as it is our democratic duty to support against these external threats and challenges that we're facing. And I'll also share, I think it's good that the Prime Minister didn't accept a bad deal. I think everybody agrees that, and now we're facing the repercussions of that. But it is also, we need to also ask the question, why was he only able to negotiate a bad deal, especially his bravado and campaign promise that said he was the only one who could handle Trump, and he said he was the only one who could get a deal with Trump, and yet he was only able to get a bad deal, so bad that he couldn't even accept it, and now that leaves us in a tariff war, which is not where a prime minister should be taking our country.
What do you think about some of the latest silliness that's starting to happen? So the talks break down. Then you get Donald Trump weighing in with his reaction, which is getting increasingly weird. I mean, this morning, the latest news, in case you're just waking up and haven't caught this yet, he's saying maybe we should rename Lake Ontario to Lake America because we won't be trading with Ontario anymore, as he has a very loud conversation over the media with Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario. So that's kind of in his sidelines right now. Well, how do you think we should all be reacting to some of this? When it starts to get this weird, what should we be thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And I'm not going to speak for what the president is saying. But what I will say as Canadian and as a member of the official opposition, we need a unified and stately approach, and we're not seeing that within Canada. We need all of the premiers to be on board, stately, and taking a serious approach. We're working together so that we can, work towards a solution and work towards getting a good deal. And we're not going to do that with that type of approach. So I'm certainly calling, and I think we are as a Conservative Party calling for a stately, serious approach. Let's be the adults in the room and present a unified front and professional approach. That's the approach I'm taking, and I hope that others do as well.
Jeff, I know that having the premiers all on board is a bit like herding cats because everybody has their own agenda. But do you sense that there is a newfound sense of unity because this deal fell through?
I'm feeling a newfound sense of unity. I'm hoping that, and the premiers do. And, as you said, they have their own agendas and their own provinces to work with. And I get that. But as I said earlier, that's internal. When we're now facing external challenges, we need to be working together and preventing, and having a stately adult approach. And that's what I would like to see. And, as a member of the official opposition, it's still our democratic role to oppose and to propose solutions. And we would hope that the government listens to that. But I can share right now, we get no technical briefings on what has happened in the negotiations. We've not been allowed to be part of the negotiations, even despite offering multiple times. And it's always a different approach between an external challenges that Canada is facing versus, when we are trying to just do internal policy and we may have one opinion one way and the government will have another, and we can debate that and ultimately vote, and that's our democratic role. Externally, also a similar democratic role, but certainly coming together and a more cooperative approach there, and certainly a more stately approach.
We're talking about the Canada-U.S. trade dispute with Jeff Kibble, Conservative MP for Cowichan, Malahat, Langford, the defense procurement critic, of course, with the federal Conservatives. Sorry about the BC Conservative thing earlier.
Yeah, all good.
And he's in Quebec right now. We'll let you go to get back to it, but thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan and Lisa. Anytime, happy to chat. Always here for you, and have a wonderful day. Enjoy the great weather.
Good stuff. I'm sure we'll be talking again soon.
Anytime.
All right. We're going to continue talking about this with our local members of Parliament. Elizabeth May from the Green Party, different perspective coming up next hour, so stay tuned for that. Right now, we'll take a break for the 7 o'clock news.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 7:01 on Tuesday, August 25th. A sunny day today, the warmest of the week, and we'll get you the full details in just a moment. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Details on WestJet. Flight attendants are happy they've ratified the new collective agreement with the airlines. If you're holding a ticket, you can breathe a bit easier. More than 90% of them voted in favor of the deal. That features a more than 18% wage hike over 3 years, as well as new compensation models for work completed on the ground. That was a major sticking point. They felt they weren't getting paid for the hours they were putting in. The new contract is in effect as of January 1st this year for the next 3 years. Still in the air, an air traffic controller is now in life-threatening condition after reportedly being struck by a plane. Happened in Montreal last night.
Was backing up on a runway at Montreal's International Airport, and emergency services were called to the scene at around 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Officers and crime scene investigators remain on site to determine the causes of the accident. The Montreal Police Service confirmed to the Canadian press that the case will be transferred to the Commission on Standards, Equity, Health and Safety at Work, as it is a workplace accident. Naira Ahmed, the Canadian Press.
The U.S. President says the Canadian French language requirements are not a factor at all in the escalating trade tension between the U.S. and Canada. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney said yesterday that the country would not accept Washington's trade deal due to demands that it roll back French language requirements. However, Donald Trump wrote on Truth Social that he would never interfere with Canadians speaking French. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer told CNBC that the issue about language requirements was just a simple, funny, fake story. Meantime, despite assurances here, Canada's retaliatory measures will remain unclear amid a clear disagreement between some of the premiers and the Prime Minister in the past over whether energy should be used as a bargaining chip. CTV's Ottawa Bureau Chief Graham Richardson has details.
What we don't really know is how bad this is behind closed doors, how much of it is posturing, because there's billions at stake, right? Like the number one customer for crude in Alberta, of course, is the United States of America. You cannot just do this without getting industry buy-in and without getting a premier's buy-in, who has said to date she has no interest in doing that. So complicated to say the least.
Press conference to announce Canada's retaliatory measures and plans to protect businesses and workers impacted by U.S. tariffs will get underway at 8 this morning in Ottawa. We'll bring you the details when they become available. The U.S. president also mentioning the possibility of changing the name of a Great Lake.
President Trump says he's considering changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America. This comes as the trade war between the U.S. and Canada intensifies. In a post on social media, the president says the change would be because, quote, we don't expect to be doing much business with Ontario any longer. This change would be similar to Trump's unilateral action last year by executive order to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Canada is expected to retaliate after the Trump administration enacted 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian goods after talks between the countries broke down. Mike Hempen, Washington.
And if you're a skateboarder, here's a story that'll make you smile. As Guinness World Records 2027 drops today, 66-year-old Judy Oyama is being celebrated as the world's oldest female competitive skateboarder. To do so, she had to beat her own record set 2 years ago. The California native has been skateboarding. She's been a pioneer in the industry for more than 50 years. Speaking to ABC, Oyama says she's more active than ever.
I actually feel like I'm skating more this last 2 years than I've skated forever.
She was inducted into the Skateboard Hall of Fame in 2018, and a helmet she wore in 1976 is held by the Smithsonian. That's your news to 7:06. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking you if you agree with the Canadian government to walk away from the U.S. trade deal. 94% say yes. A lot of people weighing in on 71010 saying yes. You can tell us what you think. You can text us. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app and on Twitter X. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 7:07.
Thanks, Lisa. Sunny today. It's going to be warm as well with a high of 24, a humidex of 29. Full forecast to come. First to the sports, where the Victoria Shamrocks and the Coquitlam Adnacks head into Game 6 of their WLA Final Series tonight, with the Adnacks leading 3-2. So they can walk home with this tonight. Or the Shamrocks can pull out a win and force a Game 7 back home at the Q Center in Colwood on Thursday night. So we'll be watching to see what happens there. For the world of baseball, let's talk about the Blue Jays to start with. They are entering a crucial final stretch of their season tonight with 30 games left and the team 2 games back of a playoff spot. TSN's Keegan Matheson says while the team's recent resurgence feels overdue, he himself is not getting too excited just yet.
Feels like we're eager to celebrate this, but they still have a losing record. This is still an ugly season. Until you have a winning record, I can't celebrate much, but overdue. We've been waiting on this for a long time. It's come awfully late, but better late than never.
The Jays open up a 3-game series against the Kansas City Royals tonight. Max Scherzer on the mound. And for the Seattle Mariners, they managed to grab a win last night, beating the Philadelphia Phillies 9-2. Carl Raleigh busted out of a season-long slump last night with his first 3-homer game of his career as part of the Mariners' victory. And there are 3 games in the WNBA tonight, including one in Dallas, where the Wings are aiming to extend their win streak to 3 when they host the Portland Fire, who have lost 2 in a row. And elsewhere, the Chicago Sky visit the Connecticut Sun. The Phoenix Mercury host the Washington Mystics. And that is your CFAX 1070 Sports to 7:09. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It's 7:09 here on a Tuesday morning, and the commute is shaping up. Well, we do have some slowdowns on the Trans-Canada Highway, but it's just the construction zone through where they're widening the highway for the bus lanes. So people slowing down for that. That's the only real slowdown we have. It's just the typical thing. No other major crashes, accidents, or unusual problems belong beyond the usual construction delays here and there around town. For BC Ferries, no sailing waits right now. And for the weather forecast, sunny. A little smoke haze could be a factor today. Just pointing that out. We've got a bit of breeze off the Juan de Fuca Strait, mostly in the afternoon and overnight, which will make things cool, feel a little cooler if you're by the water. Otherwise, it's the warmest day of the week with a high of 24, a humidex of 29. Another very warm afternoon coming our way. Clear skies tonight, lows to 14. Tomorrow will be mainly sunny to start, but the clouds are coming in because by evening tomorrow and overnight tomorrow, that's where we got a 60% chance of scattered showers, which will last through our Thursday. Clears up for Friday and the weekend, though. Back to a mix of sun and cloud. A little cooler, though, once we hit the weekend. Temperatures will be down into the lower 20s as opposed to the mid-20s and up that we've been experiencing, for instance, today. Taking a look at the markets now, S&P TSX up 18 points to 36,733. Dow Jones up 25 points to 53,442. The NASDAQ is up 210 to 26,185, and the Canadian dollar at 72.3 cents U.S.
Let's get started. Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, texters weighing in at 71010. We love it when you join the conversation. We've been talking about Canada-U.S. relations, and we were just talking to Jeff Kibble, Conservative Member of Parliament locally, so from the opposition side. One of the things he was mentioning was that he does think his party, the opposition, need to stand united with the government in facing this threat from Donald Trump. He'd like to see the premiers all kind of join up and form Team Canada as well.
Right.
And that's coming from the opposition Conservatives. But that said, he did have some criticism. And he was like, hey, this is the Prime Minister who campaigned on being the only guy who could get a deal with the U.S. And here we are seeing the same Prime Minister walk away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a bit. He also said he's glad he walked away because we should have walked away from a bad deal. But I think his criticism was, why was it a bad deal? Why wasn't the Prime Minister who campaigned on being the guy who could get the deal unable to do it? Okay, fair enough. But texters responding to that, it seems to be the thing that they wanted to talk about. This texter says, when Carney said he was the only one capable of dealing with Trump, I believe he was referring to his background on international finance. I would also point out that Trump's mental state seems to have devolved, making it more challenging as a negotiator. This texter says, opposition parties must not blame the PM for the collapsed talks. Trump is attacking Canada's sovereignty, wanting to annex us for what we have. This texter at 71010 says, Canada should rename Lake Michigan as Lake Canada to establish dominance.
There you go.
That's as
tit for tat.
Donald Trump this morning saying he wants to rename Lake Ontario as Lake America. And
we all take a pause on that.
This texter says, hey, the real question is, rather than do you agree with walking away from trade talks, it might be, do you understand what you're walking into, says texter Dawn. And this texter says,
Dawn's in Florida.
Yeah, Dawn in Florida. Our Prime Minister was damned if he does and damned if he didn't, says a new texter.
Yeah.
He couldn't possibly have stayed at the table with what was happening. You can't tell us who we're allowed to trade with and who we're not. We're a country on our own. He did the best he can. He can't help that he's dealing with a toddler. People need to stop being armchair critics. If they can do a better job, maybe they should step up to the plate. So there's another text message there.
Yeah. All true. I mean,
stirring the pot here. I love it. And we're going to keep doing it.
If any pot is going to be stirred, it's this one. This is our livelihood. This is our sovereignty.
Yeah.
This is it. And, you know, it's unfortunate that we have a man in office in the U.S. who is at the negotiating on behalf of his country, but then gets mad at a premier and says he's going to rename the lake that's named after the province. So if that hadn't happened, you know, okay, we're waiting to see what comes in 45 minutes from Ottawa on the retaliatory tariffs. But no, and you know, the question was brought up yesterday about the French language, because we're hearing now that from the U.S. counterparts that no, that was not a thing. The French language could be for business. The fact that they don't want to have a bilingual language on labeling of products coming up from the U.S. They don't want to have to spend the extra money to do it. So it could be something that simple. It's not actually don't speak French. It's we don't want to have to put it on the labeling. And that's business talking to the White House possibly. So there's so much in play here. And, you know, it's easy to be an armchair quarterback when you don't know everything. And the thing is, they can't tell us everything because they're trying to negotiate. If you play all your cards, then you don't have anything. You've got nothing at the poker table, including a poker face.
Yeah, and this texture here, kind of on that topic. Good morning, all. As a Canadian, I'm glad we walked away from the bad deal, but it would be nice to see a little more transparency as to what the deal contained. And, you know, that's what the Conservatives are saying, too. Yeah. They would love to just let Canadians judge it for themselves.
Well, Jeff kept saying diplomacy. I think we have been very diplomatic.
Texter says, it blows my mind that Canadians blame Trump for everything instead of bringing accountability to Carney. So there's another opinion coming in at 7:10:10. We welcome them all. And we're going to continue getting reaction because Elizabeth May, Green Party leader and local MP, is our next member of Parliament locally who's going to join us on the show. This is just after the 7:30 news. So we'll get another take, and I hope you'll join our conversation then as well. Keep them coming at 7:10:10. Right now, though, it's 7:15. Time for the headlines. Here's Lisa.
So the government will unveil details in about 45 minutes of the counter tariff plan with the U.S. Prime Minister Mark Carney will speak from Ottawa, suspending trade talks, of course, on the weekend, accusing the U.S. of trying to insert last-minute demands, like limiting Canada's ability to protect its culture, language, and sovereignty, and telling us we can't trade with anyone else. The U.S. is introducing a new round of 50% tariffs on Canadian exports as of Saturday. Canada, Carney says, we'll go back to the negotiating table with the trade deal once the U.S. changes its attitude. The new school year fast approaching, and experts say it'd be worth easing kids back into the routine to allow them to get that good night's sleep. Preschoolers should get 13 hours of sleep. Tweens need between 9 and 12, and teenagers do best with 8 to 10 hours of shut-eye. To get back on track, experts recommend setting earlier bedtime a week or two before the first day of school, or gradually going to bed 15 to 30 minutes earlier each night. Of course, as nights get darker earlier, it's a little help for you too as a parent. And a Toronto-based family entertainment company has bought Personality AI, which uses generative AI to create interactive characters. The artificial intelligence company is behind the interactive Peppa Pig that was first developed by Hasbro to allow children to talk to the character. Under the agreement, WildBrain is paying $11 million US in cash and 1 million WildBrain shares. It's also agreed to pay an additional $2 million US on the first anniversary of closing the deal. That's your news to 717.
Well, trade talks aside, I want to talk about something much more positive, and that is how much money you could win if your ticket gets drawn in the Mega Summer 50-50. For CFAX Santa's Anonymous, Christine Goodsir, Executive Director of CFAX Santa's Anonymous, is joining us next, and we will reveal to you what the jackpot has hit as of this morning. Well there, CFAX 1070 Morning Show brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. Download the new Bluebird Cabs at Bluebird Cabs Ltd. They're proudly local and Canadian-owned and run since 1946. Over to the traffic and weather. Text me if you see any problems out there, but right now we're pretty problem-free on the morning commute. A little bit of volume kind of heading into downtown Victoria from the West Shore, but it's I don't know, better than it often is. I don't know. I'm finding different ways to explain this. It's still the summer commute, and I did have that texter last week reminding me, like, just wait until September 8th rolls around. You're going to lose your mind.
Yeah, you need to do traffic and haiku or something because it's like there's nothing.
Yeah, it just continues to be fine.
And nothing is good. That's so rare.
It's so compared to summer traffic, things are normal. They're just way better than they're going to be on September 8th. That's what I'm trying to say. So let's focus on the weather instead. Sunshine today, warmest day of the week, high at 24, humidex at 29. A little wind off the Wandafuka Strait though, particularly in the afternoon and overnight, making things feel a little cooler if you're by the water. That overnight low is going to go down to 14. Tomorrow starts sunny, eventually ends cloudy with a small chance of showers Wednesday night into Thursday, and then it clears up for the weekend.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
She is the executive director of CFAX Santa's Anonymous. Christine Goodsir is here as we update the Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50. Christine, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Ryan.
I want to get right to it. I don't want to leave people waiting. So the jackpot, here we are with only a couple of days left. The jackpot is at $34,230.
Whoa.
So
I know, that's fantastic.
I bet you by the end of the show, we could potentially be at 35,000. Maybe by the end of the day,
Well, that's
somewhere
fair.
in there.
Yeah.
$35,000.
Oh, that would be amazing. And someone's going to be very happy on Friday morning.
Yeah, because it is Friday. Like I'm looking, if you go to the website, CFAX1070.com or CFAXSantas.com, either website has a big old button that says Kids Count Mega Summer 50/50, and you click into that to get to where you can buy the tickets. But on that page where you buy the tickets, there's this little timer counting down in the corner. And right now it's telling me, Christine, 2 days and 9 hours left.
That's it.
That's when the sales close. The sales close Thursday at 5 p.m.
That's right. Yep.
And then Friday morning.
Yeah.
Tell me what Friday morning.
Friday morning. Then, we will know the winner on Friday morning at 7 a.m. I know, it's exciting.
We're going to do the draw right here on the radio. In fact, Lisa, we'll have to make the news late at 7 on Friday because we're just going to push that aside and get to the important thing, which is somebody walking away with half of that jackpot and the other half going to CFAX Santa's Anonymous and the Kids Count program to do wonderful things beyond Christmas for children in our community. Isn't that right, Christine?
Yes, 100 of the proceeds of our share are going to the 3 food banks and the Victoria Therapeutic Riding Association programming. So that's where that money's going on our part of this. But in the background, because this isn't always the giving platform that people like to participate in, our website also had another giving program at the same time. And through the summer, we were able to gain some ground in our education focus. And we were able to give $3,000 to 2, so a total of $6,000 for back-to-school programs to the Salvation Army. So 2 branches, and they serve over 700 kids with back to school, and it's so incredibly important that all kids come back to school with the tools that they need to learn. So we are so thrilled about that as well.
Back to school, it's almost here. We were talking about that earlier, but back to school shopping is sort of in full swing. You might be seeing that at the stores. I've been doing a bit of it myself with my kids. But yeah, that's a moment that some people need help with.
It is. And, it's again, another 700 children, over 700 children in our community that will have that support from our donors and from CFAX Santa's Anonymous Society. So thank you to everyone who listens and responds, because it makes a difference, because our kids are precious.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're expensive too.
Yeah, they're precious but expensive.
Let's call it what it is.
I have to say,
raising a child is expensive, especially now. Everything. And let's start with food. Food is expensive.
Exactly. Incredibly expensive. And, my husband and I were talking last night. We're now empty nesters, but we feel sorry. We feel bad for these families that are struggling so hard, because this is just, never ending.
Yeah.
Never ending, changes and pivots that they have to make themselves. So thank you to everyone who does give.
And children feel the weight of that, too. I mean, they feel the stress that their parents are under, and taking that feeling to school is not a good thing, because it affects their learning.
It totally does. I think, and I hope that through, the other programs we support in mental health, like the Stigma Free Society, I think, and I hope also that those programs supporting our youth help, move that forward as well, because it isn't easy, and it's there. People see it.
I was watching parents shop on the weekend for back to school, and I could see the stress on their faces of not just what to pick, but doing the math in their head, because you have to have a budget, and this money will go to help people with really, really tight budgets, whether it's food, whether it's back to school. And the whole Kids Count program in itself is about taking the stress off families locally so that they can at least keep their head above water.
Absolutely. And the organizations that we support, we know that their boots are on the ground all year long. And when they reach out, because they have an extra 50 kids on a wait list for each branch, we say, absolutely, we're here to help again. We'll do whatever we can. So, that's the thing. I think that is, this has been an absolute blast, and we'll continue to grow that amazing jackpot over the next 2 days and 9 hours, probably 8 hours and 58 minutes, and have so much fun with this. And then keep in mind, as we move past it, that we have more and more work to do every day of the year.
Yeah. It's exactly 4 months to Christmas.
Oh, don't say that.
Sorry, guys.
Lisa.
No. It's August 25th.
Lisa.
Hey. Hey, I will bear the brunt of the criticism.
Christine, before we
Don't tell me how many days. Don't tell me how many days.
Before we let you go, Christine, one other quick thing. If you're interested in volunteering in our wonderful organization, CFAX Santa's Anonymous, we have a little volunteer fair going on here at our building in Esquimalt. If you haven't been to check out the cool coffee shop and the library and everything we got down below us in the building, this is a really cool chance to see that, but also check out the volunteer fair in the lobby. Tell us when that's happening.
That's happening on Saturday, September 12th. So it's a great opportunity for people to come out and, especially those that volunteer with their older kids for the Tree of Wishes at Christmas time. There's all kinds of volunteers opportunities that we'll be posting on our website just before the fair. But come and meet us. There'll be volunteer leads. There'll be some board members there, and just come and meet us. It's a meet and greet from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we welcome everyone.
Christine Goodsir, Executive Director, CFAX Santa's Anonymous. We'll be talking soon because, of course, the draw for the Mega Summer 50/50 is this Friday. Ticket sales end Thursday afternoon. We'll be talking, Christine.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Take care.
7:30 News next.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which is
on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It is 7:30 on this Tuesday, August the 25th, a sunny, warm day. In fact, the warmest of the week expected. We'll get to the full forecast in a moment. Right now, the news begins with Lisa Best.
Our counter-tariff details expected to come in the next 30 minutes or so after the war. Words erupting from trade tensions between the Premier of Ontario and the U.S. President. This came after Donald Trump claimed the U.S. did not need Canada and threatened to increase tariffs on the auto and steel sectors to 50% starting on January 1st. Here's CTV's Mike Lecouture with the latest.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford went after Trump on radio.
Well, he can kiss my ass as far as I'm concerned. We're going to go at him full steam.
That comment may have teed off Trump, who responded online with another post, calling Carney governor and Ford a flunky for the prime minister.
You know, your own people, President Trump, don't even like you. and they're going to speak loud and clear when it comes to the midterms.
Ford also floated the idea of export taxes on products the U.S. needs, like energy, potash, and critical minerals. It's something premiers and the Prime Minister have been hesitant to consider, but in French, Carney said all options are on the table.
The Prime Minister has threatened dollar-for-dollar counter tariffs on the U.S. starting the day after Labor Day.
The federal government releasing more details about those counter tariffs in the next hour, along with relief measures for workers and businesses affected by the escalations. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump says now he's thinking about renaming Lake Ontario, calling it Lake America. It's reminiscent of Trump's unilateral decision last year by executive order to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. Trump says he's considering this latest name change because he says his administration doesn't expect to be doing much business with Ontario anymore. Yesterday, of course, he and Doug Ford traded barbs in the media over the trade war. Lots of chatter stateside about this. CTV's Abigail Beeman is there, explaining how U.S. officials are describing why talks broke down.
They were offered quite a good deal. They chose to reject it.
They came in with a bunch of unreasonable last-minute demands.
One by one, members of the Trump administration blame Canada for leaving a so-called good deal on the table, suggesting the Prime Minister walked away for his own political gain.
It certainly doesn't make economic sense, but perhaps for political reasons, they have some by-elections coming up. They wanted more, and we weren't prepared to do that.
A number of trade experts believe talks could resume later this fall after a cooling off, while the vice president himself characterized negotiations as still ongoing.
And fresh tariff threats on Canadian vehicles and parts have raised concerns in Windsor, the heart of Canada's automaking industry. The mayor there, Drew Dilkins, says the levies would cost jobs if imposed, and he hopes sensible minds will prevail before that happens.
This is a layering on of more pain and more cost that is completely unnecessary because the environment that we created, this trade environment we created, we built it together. We built it as an integrated supply chain, and for good reason.
Dilkins pointed to the upcoming U.S. midterm elections as a chance to highlight the potential consequences of a tariff dispute in swing states such as neighboring Michigan. And a man who killed 3 generations of a BC family during a camping trip in the 1980s has been denied parole again. David Innes shot and killed 6 members of the Johnson Bentley family when they were camping in 1982. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. Crystal Wolf is the great niece of Bob Johnson. She says the family continues to keep the names of the victims alive.
My grandpa talks about his brother and his nieces. We just keep the memory alive. We continue just to talk of who they were, the funny stories that used to be had. In West Bank or West Kelowna, there is a swimming pool there, and it's Johnson Bentley Memorial Pool, so it's named after them. So when you go in, you see their pictures.
Nice touch. And on the wildfire front, there are 165 fires burning this province this hour. 64 are considered out of control. There's been 56 new starts in the last 24 hours. There's 21 fires burning across Vancouver Island, including 3 considered out of control yesterday. There was 6, so crews are doing good work on those. Firesmoke.ca shows wildfire smoke levels are increasing for a few hours this afternoon, but will clear later this afternoon across southern Vancouver Island. That's your news to 7:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking, do you agree with the Canadian government's decision to walk away from the current U.S. trade deal? 95% saying yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, News Time 7:36.
And we're going to keep talking about it. Elizabeth May, local member of Parliament and Green Party leader, will be our guest in just a few moments as we continue to get reaction. And your texts, too, at 71010. A lot of listeners with opinions and thoughts on the latest trade war with the United States. Let's get into all that in just a moment. But first to the sports, where we have the Victoria Shamrocks and the Coquitlam Adnacks heading into Game 6 of the Best of 7 WLA Final Series, with the Adnacks leading 3-2. So in order to stay alive, the Shamrocks have to win tonight. And if they do, they will force a Game 7 back home at the Q Center this Thursday. If they lose, of course, it's all over, and it'll be the Adnacks who will be declared the WLA champions. Let's talk about the Blue Jays situation quickly, because they are, heading into their final 30 games, and they got a chance. TSN Steve Phillips says every single one of these games coming up, every single one of these 30 games is going to be against a team that has a losing record.
Nobody would have predicted that this was a chance, right? That with 30 games left, they legitimately have a chance to be a playoff team. Everybody is under 500 on the remainder of the schedule. They've got the second easiest strength of schedule over the remaining part of the season. And so why not the Blue Jays? I think they've underachieved. They're better than what they performed.
Toronto remains 2 games back of a playoff spot as of this morning. The Kansas City Royals are in town tonight to kick off a 3-game series. And the Seattle Mariners, with a win last night, they came up with a 9-2 victory over the visiting Philadelphia Phillies. And that is your CFAX 1070 Sports to 738. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season. Big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort. South Island's elite plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. The roads are looking clear. Like I was saying, here's an example. So get a little estimate of how long it would take to go from, where Starlight Stadium is in Langford, that neighborhood of Langford, all the way to downtown Victoria. Taking you 30 minutes right now. That's a very nice, civilized amount of time.
Doing the speed limit?
Yeah.
Wow.
You got the speed limit. You're going from Langford Lanes to downtown Victoria during a morning commute. Only 30 minutes. That ain't bad. There's an example of how things are actually...
Enjoy it now.
Yeah. Looking good for the moment as summertime continues. 8 o'clock sailing from Swartz Bay to Swassen. That one is looking fine, too. No sailing waits there. And the weather, warmest day of the week, sunshine. We got a humidex of 29, so feeling like 29 in the humidity. High of 24 otherwise. A little windy off the water, though, making it feel cooler by the wand if you go straight. On the markets, let's see how things are shaping up today. S&P TSX still gaining ground, up 92 points at this hour to 36,806. The Dow in New York is up 68 to 53,486. The Nasdaq is up 113 to 26,094. And the Canadian dollar at 72.3 cents US.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
All right, our next guest weighing in on the U.S.-Canada trade dispute. I've got Elizabeth May here, Green Party leader, and of course, local member of Parliament, Saanich Gulf Islands. Elizabeth May, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Oh, thanks, Ryan, and hey, Lisa. It's great to be with you.
Now, Elizabeth, can I ask, how attached were you to the name Lake Ontario anyways?
I'm putting this in the present tense. The name is Lake Ontario, is now and always will be. Lake Ontario, Gulf of Mexico. That's like, check an atlas.
We'd have to change the Tragically Hip song if it changed to America, so that can't happen.
Yeah. Didn't want that.
Well said. No, there's it's the level of pettiness, and it gets to the point of absurdity, but it's a terribly serious subject because they're really, I mean, the Prime Minister said that he thinks Trump is now trying to, quote unquote, destroy our economy, which is a lot different than negotiate.
Now, I want to hear behind the scenes in Parliament or wherever you happen to be. What is going on right now today? Because I know we've got Canada unveiling the counter tariffs. That's coming up really soon. So we're going to be hearing that. Yeah. We've got this, the war of words between the likes of Doug Ford and Donald Trump happening in the background, getting absurd. There's a lot happening. So for you as a member of the, not a member of the government, but a member of Parliament, what's going on with you today?
Well, I'm very engaged in the by-elections because, I mean, of all things, we did on July 26th have 3 by-elections announced for the month of August, which is, you almost never have. Well, 1953 was the one time we ever had elections in August. So it would suggest me what I'm doing. I do have a phone conversation with the Prime Minister scheduled for later this morning. I'm also going to be going back to the North Vancouver Capilano, where our candidate, Shelley Luce, is an amazing candidate, but all this overshadows that because people are saying, well, wait a minute, if we're in a trade war, Pierre Poilievre said we should reconvene Parliament. I don't think that we need to reconvene Parliament, but I have asked for not just a briefing of each individual leader of an opposition party separately. We used to have in the past when it was Justin Trudeau, and I know people think, oh, well, so glad he's gone, but we did used to get all the opposition members together, opposition leaders, so Pierre Poilievre and me, and Yves-François Blanchet, and at the time Jagmeet Singh, with the Prime Minister, so that we were all more or less equally informed and could share our views with each other. But at least we're going to have individual meetings with the Prime Minister. I think the meetings with the Bloc Québécois and Conservative Party have already happened. But Parliament is scheduled to resume on September 21st and then scheduled to be a week away in our constituencies starting the very next week. So what I'm arguing is, look, at least start September 21st. Let's not leave right away. We'll take the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on Wednesday the 30th. But, and that's a statutory holiday. But let's not lose the momentum. We really do need Parliament to be functioning, and we've been on the summer pause since the end of June. I think it is an all-hands-on-deck kind of moment. All parties and, of course, all provincial premiers need to be as close to each other as possible in the sense of no daylight in between us. Alberta's setting a slightly different tone, or a very different tone in the way Daniel Smith has responded. I haven't heard anyone say, and this is, I think, significant, regardless of party or province, no one has said our negotiators should have stayed there and taken that deal, even without specific information on every element of what was on the table. A lot of trade commentators and experts are saying, why did we stay so long? Because this wasn't a negotiation, this was a shakedown.
Well, Elizabeth May, we're going to put you on hold for a second, but we got Elizabeth May, Green Party leader, local member of Parliament. We're going to take a break for our news, but when we get back, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what could happen today with Canada's announcement of counter tariffs. So we'll get your thoughts on that in just a moment. But first, over to Lisa in the newsroom.
Thanks, Ryan. Good morning. Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim says he received a call from the province's health minister informing him that the province is cancelling the proposed drug injection site at the city's downtown core. Sim says he's grateful the province listened to the voices of residents in the city. Minister Ravi Kahlon says he's directed Vancouver Coastal Health to stand down on a plan, and the decision was made in agreement with the health authority. Kahlon says that the province will propose alternative programming to meet community needs at the site, including offering treatment and recovery supports. The family of Alex Pretty, the ICU nurse who was shot and killed by ICE agents in Minneapolis last winter, says they still haven't heard from top Trump administration officials, nor have they received any concrete updates on the case from federal law enforcement. The name of the agents involved in the shooting have also not been made public by the Justice Department, although DOJ officials told ABC News that they don't comment on a pending investigation. Still, the Preddy family says it's been far too long to be kept in the dark about Alex's death. Golf company Callaway is apologizing over an ad for a new driver that depicts violence against women. The video was posted by its media partner Good Golf, showing a woman reaching for the driver as the company's co-founder rushes over and knocks her to the ground. Then he looms over her and threatens, "Don't touch my driver." Good Golf took the video down after widespread online backlash. Just watched it. It's a really strange video. Callaway didn't mention whether it's reviewing its partnership with Good, but said they'll learn from this and they'll do better moving forward. That's your news to 7:47.
Where the noise stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations. From major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show, Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on CFAX 1070.
It's 7:49. Let's take a look at CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Easy-going commute from the West Shore into Victoria. I was mentioning it's only taking about 30 minutes to go from the Langford Lanes or Starlight Stadium, that kind of neighborhood of Langford, into downtown Victoria. Just about 35 minutes, which is pretty easy-going compared to the way it can be sometimes. No sailing waits at BC Ferries, and a warm day today. Sunshine, little smoke haze at times. Humidex of 29, so feeling quite warm in that humidity. Otherwise, it's a high of 24. And windy by the Wantafuka Strait, so it will be cooler if you're by the water. Tomorrow evening and into Thursdays, where we get a chance of showers in our week, which clears up in time for Friday and the weekend. So a little bit of a rain blip coming at us, but today, sunshine.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
And we're in the middle of a conversation with the leader of the Federal Green Party and local member of Parliament, Elizabeth May. Thanks again for holding on the line and being here to weigh in on the trade dispute. Elizabeth May.
Hey, Ryan. I'm always happy to wait on hold. It means I get to listen to CFAX and what's going on at home. Well, I'm, as I mentioned earlier, in the Vancouver area to be campaigning in North Vancouver again because of the by-elections, which all come. There's three of them with electing three new MPs a week from today. But again, all overshadowed by the not entirely surprising collapse of talks between Canada and the U.S., trying to avert Trump's 50% tariff threats.
Do you know anything about what we're going to expect to hear today? Because I know very shortly this morning we are expecting details on Canada's counter-tariff plan against the U.S. We'll get the finance minister, some other cabinet ministers who are fanning out to talk about this. The prime minister did mention that whatever these counter-tariffs are, these retaliatory tariffs, they're going to take effect September 8th. We're going to get the details today. What do you know about what we're going to hear today?
Well, I imagine I hope it's as skillfully done as it was under previous ministers. Remember the first set of retaliatory tariffs seems so long ago now. When Chrystia Freeland they were designed and careful. I was so impressed at the time. They were crafted to hit particular U.S. Republican states. They were crafted to have a political as well as an economic impact in the U.S. There's no point in, and let's be really clear about this, and the sort of eye for an eye strategy in a trade war with an economy 12 times our size is not going to be, it's going to be pain for us. And that's my first thought, and I'll talk to the Prime Minister about it later, is let's make sure we are sort of in the style that we did during COVID, opening up some financial taps to protect Canadian workers and particularly small business. Because small businesses that hung on through COVID, this is going to wallop a lot. The strange things, some of the U.S. tariffs apply to things like bookbinding machines and Christmas and other seasonal decorations. So the U.S. tariffs are kind of mind-boggling. How do our retaliatory tariffs really protect us? I think beyond retaliatory tariffs, we have to rethink the way our own economy works so that we are processing more raw natural resources in Canada before export. So we get more benefit out of every tree log. We should stop raw log exports. We should be processing bitumen in Canadian refineries, not shipping it in pipelines. All of these things, this moment is a moment of reckoning, and it allows Canada, I hope, to rethink our own economic relationship, not just with the U.S., but the way we conceive of ourselves. Are we just suppliers of raw natural resources to other countries where we buy back their finished products? Can we take control now? And we are a sovereign nation. We are Canada. We are not, and I was very pleased the Prime Minister said it, the U.S. attitude was that we were some sort of wholly owned subsidiary of the United States. No, we are not. We're a neighbor. We're a good friend. We're not a good friend of this current White House. But, our friends and neighbors and relatives south of the border, we've got to keep those relationships, but protect Canadians first. And that's where I'm hoping the retaliatory tariffs are very skillfully crafted.
Do you have any guess as to what we might be targeting? And last time we did orange juice from Florida. We had Harley-Davidson motorcycles as a couple that I remember. And there were a few others like that, like you said, were very targeted to try to hit certain states and, a certain political party more so. But what do you think? Do you think we're going to roll out the same plan, or do you think it'll be different this time?
I think it'll be different. I think it's interesting to me that the Prime Minister thought we were close enough to a deal to have actually asked the premiers to put American booze back on provincial liquor shelves. We were clearly not at that point, but who knows what kind of we definitely had two styles of U.S. trade negotiators. Dominic LeBlanc and Janet Charette were mostly dealing with Greer, and then Lutnick came back into the picture, and it seems to me, although I wasn't in the room, seems to me like that changed the dynamic, and suddenly we were dealing with a lot of additional threats. I think it's important that we made a mistake, frankly, in dropping the digital services tax when we did last summer, because this question of the online streaming services and how much they demand of us and how much they resist doing things to make sure that Canadian creative industries can survive against the onslaught of, everything that's online and streamed. We have to make sure we protect Canadian culture, whether we're talking about the French language, but also, Canadian films, a big part of our industry in British Columbia and our economy. We don't want to be up against the disproportionate strength of U.S., I don't want to call it culture, but you know what I mean, the U.S. media and films. So when we're looking at what might be retaliatory tariffs, I hope we take aim by saying we're not going to be exporting potash on the same basis. We may create a strategic reserve of potash or apply an export duty to our own potash, because that will hit a lot of U.S. Republican states right before the midterms, where farmers in those states think they're not going to be able to get potash from Canada. It could affect the U.S. midterms. So I'm hoping we're using a political lens as well as an economic lens on how we craft our retaliatory tariffs.
And I've got a ton of text messages here. I won't be able to get to most of them at this time, but I'll try to get your text later, by the way, at 7:10:10. Thank you so much for taking time to write. But several of the texts, I'll sum up by saying this. Some people are questioning whether or not retaliatory tariffs are the way to go for Canada. As this texter says, everybody loses with retaliatory tariffs. Yeah. We should instead stop talking to the U.S., spend time making deals with other countries and so on. But do you think that we have to do this? Do we have to slap tariffs on? Because if we put tariffs on, I mean, that's Canadians that are paying that tariff. That's how the tariffs work. Is that something we should be doing?
Well, I tell you, and to whoever texted that in, it's a great question. It's on everyone. I'll say that as the leader of a federal political party and as your member of parliament, for those of you listening from Spanish Gulf Islands, I feel myself in something of a bind. It is, I think, right now really important for Canadians to be unified. So to the extent that I might be second-guessing what the Prime Minister is about to do, I won't do that because I don't want, as I said, I don't think there should be daylight between any federal political party and what our negotiating team is doing. I don't think we should go back to any negotiating table. I'll be really clear about that. They weren't negotiations. This was extortion. I don't think the retaliatory tariffs should be the only string in our bow. We better develop a lot of alternative approaches at the same time, and we should be prepared that where retaliatory tariffs hurt Canadian consumers and small business, we've got a plan to backstop that, to make sure that Canadian small business can compete, can stay in business. And of course, as Canadians, we've got to ramp up our Buy Canadian focus and make sure our grocery store chains, make sure wherever we're doing our shopping is also committed to honest labeling and making sure we know that we're buying wherever we can, buy British Columbia, buy local, and make sure that we're protecting our neighbors and friends in other industries. Clearly, right now with the closure of mills in Canada, the pulp and paper sector's in real trouble, and with these completely unfair tariffs on softwood lumber, I think we should focus a lot of the effort. And I mean, the U.S. said they just applied a tariff on Canadian hockey sticks. Well, as everybody who is a hockey playing family out there knows, hockey sticks are mostly made in China. They're not made out of wood so much anymore. But that was a clear attempt by the U.S. to target something identified as Canadian. Nothing's more Canadian than a wooden hockey stick made in Canada. They're going to target things that are culturally designed, symbolically designed. We have to make sure that, no Kentucky bourbon up here, thank you very much. But on top of that, we have to make sure that our artists, painters, craftspeople can get their products into the U.S. and stay in business. And we have to diversify our markets. So far, 90% of Canadian fossil fuel exports, and as you all know, I'm against building any new fossil fuel infrastructure. It makes no sense to build more pipelines where there aren't markets and hardwire us more into the U.S. economy. So let's find ways, again, expanding our relationship with other Commonwealth countries, expanding our relationships with the European Union, and particularly with countries in Latin America, where we don't have, the Mercosur is one region where we don't have an existing trade deal. We've got a trade deal with the EU. We've got trade deals with most of the countries certainly in the Commonwealth, but we can do more to expand our relationships with Brazil and with Brazil being the powerhouse economy if we're looking to South America, Latin America. And again, looking to Mexico, President Sheinbaum has managed so far, and good luck to Mexico, is certainly rooting for countries that have been traditional allies of Canada not to be clobbered by Trump in the way he seems to have set his sights on Canada.
I do feel like sometimes it's only a matter of time, though. So be cautious with all of that. Other countries, let Canada be an example of what happens. But anyways, we got to let you go because we're right out of time. Elizabeth May, Green Party MP, and we're waiting on details of Canada's counter-tariff plan against the U.S. That'll be hitting the news airwaves in moments here. So Elizabeth May, we'll be talking again soon. Good luck with all the by-elections.
I'll stay in touch, and thanks so much. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.
8 o'clock news next on CFAX.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:02 on Tuesday, August 25th. A warm, sunny day today. A little smoke haze, though, at times. We'll get you a full forecast in moments. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Details coming shortly from Ottawa on Canada's counter-tariff plan against the U.S. Finance Minister François Philippe Champagne and other cabinet ministers will also lay out supports for workers affected by tariffs. Prime Minister Mark Carney said on Saturday that the retaliatory tariffs would take effect on Tuesday, September 8th. Meanwhile, the U.S. president is escalating his trade war. Here's ABC News chief political correspondent Rachel Scott at the White House with the latest.
Talk about a tit for tat between the U.S. and Canada. Look, this is one of our largest trading partners. Obviously, it's our closest ally right to the north. President Trump imposed that 50% tariff on about $20 billion worth of Canadian goods. Canada's vowing to respond. President Trump now says that he'll slap 50% tariffs on Canadian car parts, cars, trucks, and steel. And Mark Carney is now saying that he's going to announce even more tariffs, retaliatory tariffs, this morning.
We'll have details for you on that as it comes in from Ottawa. Flight attendants at WestJet ratifying the new collective agreement with the airline. So if you're holding a ticket, you can breathe easier. More than 90% have voted in favor of the deal that features a more than 18% wage hike over 3 years, as well as new compensation models for work hours completed on the ground. The new contract is in effect from January 1st of this year and for the next 3 years. On the tarmac in Montreal, an air traffic controller now in life-threatening condition after being hit by a plane that was backing up last night.
Local police say that's when the aircraft was backing up on a runway at Montreal's International Airport, and emergency services were called to the scene at around 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Officers and crime scene investigators remain on site to determine the causes of the accident. The Montreal Police Service confirmed to the Canadian press that the case will be transferred to the Commission on Standards, Equity, Health, and Safety at Work, as it is a workplace accident. Naira Ahmed, the Canadian Press.
In the U.S., the family of Alex Pretty, the ICU nurse who was shot and killed by ICE agents in Minneapolis last winter, say they've yet to hear from the top Trump administration officials, nor have they received any concrete updates on the case from federal law enforcement. The names of the agents involved in the shooting had not been made public, although the Department of Justice officials told ABC News that they don't comment on pending investigations. Still, the Pretty family says it's been too long and they've been kept in the dark too long about Alex's death. Alex's mother, Susan, in an exclusive interview with George Stephanopoulos, says she wants answers.
They murdered our child. I understand that immigration, there's a policy in place. I understand that. But this is not the way to do it. People need to be held responsible when they murder people in this country.
Video shows Alex Pretty being shot 10 times. Pretty had a firearm with him, but he was legally permitted to carry it. And that is your news to 8:06. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question, we're asking if you agree with the Canadian government's decision to reject the current U.S. trade deal. 95% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 8:07.
Thank you, Lisa. We are looking at a day that'll be the warmest of the week with a humidex of 29, so feeling quite warm. Got some wind on the water, though, a little windier if you're by the Wantafuka Strait, making it feel a little cooler. That's the day you're in for. We'll tell you the full forecast in just a moment. Right now, over to the CFAX 1070 Sports. Let's start with the lacrosse because the Victoria Shamrocks lacrosse team heading into Game 6 of the WLA final against the Coquitlam Adnax, and it's still a do-or-die thing for the Shamrocks because Coquitlam has that 3-2 best-of-7 series lead. So if the Coquitlam wins tonight on home court over on the mainland, it's all over. But if the Shamrocks can win, they force a Game 7 that'll come back to the Q Center in Colwood Thursday. To the Blue Jays, they open up a 6-game homestand tonight against the Kansas City Royals. Toronto enters the day 2 games behind Cleveland for the American League's final wild card spot, with several teams still in the hunt. And Max Scherzer starts for the Jays against a Royals team that has won 8 straight. And the Seattle Mariners, let's talk about them. They had a win last night, 9-2 against the visiting Philadelphia Phillies. And Little League Baseball. Canada will try to stay alive at the Little League World Series tonight when it faces South Korea in a must-win game in Pennsylvania. The Vancouver-based Little Mountain team lost 7-0 to South Korea in its tournament opener before beating Australia 4-0 and then Panama 3-2. That's your CFAX Sports to 8:08. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Right now through August 26th, receive 1,000 Scene Plus points for every $200 Smile card you purchase in-store at Thrifty Foods. Traffic and weather. If you are commuting today, it is fairly easy commute. No major problems, no major crashes or accidents. I've been picking on the Starlight Stadium kind of neighborhood of Langford into downtown Victoria as my example commute. It's about 30 minutes still to get from one to the other, which is a pretty, I think, example of how things are flowing pretty well this morning from the West Shore into downtown Victoria. Now, the other major routes, the Malahat, Pat Bay, all looking clear right now. No sailing waits at BC Ferries. And the weather forecast, sunny today, a little smoke haze could be here at times. We'll see some wind off the Wandafuka Strait. Otherwise, a high of 24, humidex of 29. That's about as warm as it's going to get this week. Tomorrow, it's sunny with a high of 20. With a chance of showers by the evening, and that chance of showers will last overnight and into Thursday. Then it clears up for Friday and the weekend. A little cooler, though. After today, temperatures will be more in the 20-degree range as a high rather than the mid-20s with all the humidity we're seeing today. Right now for the temperatures, well, it is warming up into the day on this warm one. 17 degrees at the airport. On the markets, S&P TSX up 102 points to 36,816. The Dow is up, 22 points to 53,439. The NASDAQ is up 120 to 26,100, and the Canadian dollar at 72.3 cents U.S.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Wow, so many text messages at 71010 as you weigh in on the conversation. We've been talking to several of our local MPs, getting their reaction, getting that local Victoria reaction to this trade war, which is escalating between Canada and the U.S. again. Let's see here. We have this.
Unpack it.
There's plenty of jokes here, and I appreciate all the humor.
That makes us feel a bit better.
Kind of around the Donald Trump today threatening to rename Lake Ontario as Lake America. So a lot of those texts. But this one here says, I'm not an expert. I know it's way more complicated than most understand. The power of the people is we talk with our wallets. The U.S. took notice when we stopped traveling south. And they go on, international trade negotiations are complicated, me included, would not understand, as most people won't. What we need to do is the Canadian way. Be polite, do our thing. Trade between provinces still isn't free. Yeah, there we go. A lot of text messages, actually. I won't read them all out, but tons of text messages saying, how about we start working on those interprovincial trade barriers? Yeah, as a way to try to, help with all of this.
Good
Anyways,
point.
Texter continues, reacting to each tweet will not help. One voice, the Prime Minister, is all they should be hearing. We can speak spending our dollars at home. Yeah, and I think a lot of Canadians might be thinking about that again. That whole Buy Canadian thing could be coming up, and I agree with the trade barrier thing.
And they're traveling to the U.S. too, because the poll question we had over the weekend was, did you take a summer vacation to the U.S.? And I think maybe 10% said they did travel to the U.S. A lot of people have to travel for business. So, there's a bit of a dearth of Canadians heading down south, or heading south of the border anyway.
Yeah, so many text messages, a lot of different themes, but jokes about Lake Ontario, interprovincial trade barriers, and a lot of texters just mentioning that these trade deals are complicated. Yeah, it'll be great to see the details, but at the same time, would we really benefit from that as much as some people are saying we will? And there are some people, again, I can't read them all out, but I just want to make sure I'm expressing your opinions for the folks who wanted to write this in. Some people wondering if this deal really was so bad and this was just Mark Carney and the Liberals trying to, create a stir for their own political gain. I don't know if I agree with that sentiment.
Play.
But I don't think that would go over as well as you think it would. I don't think Mark Carney is playing this for his own benefit somehow. But I mean, that opinion is being expressed here.
Yeah.
But that is again with some of our listeners saying we'd like to see the trade deal ourselves to prove that it actually was so bad, or is this just can you really trust the Canadian government? There's lots of folks who don't trust the Liberal government particularly, and I get that. So there's a lot of skepticism being shared here as well. I just wanted to express that, even though I can't read all the messages because I got like hundreds of them this morning.
I know.
There's a lot coming in,
and it's understandable that we're all heated about it because it can affect our bottom line on every level, on an individual level. And then the counter tariffs coming in as well, which we have news on. So
is that coming out?
Yes, it is.
Oh, really?
I can have that for you.
Actually, I really want to hear it. So can we just go?
Sure, we can go.
Let's do the news.
Just make it happen.
All right, we got exciting breaking news. Lisa, take it away.
From makeup to smartphones to kitchen appliances, federal government laying out the plans to hit the U.S. with dollar-for-dollar counter tariffs. It's going to impact about 700 different American products. Also announcing supports for Canadian workers and businesses this morning, such as temporary changes to unemployment insurance or employment insurance. The tariffs will be imposed on $27.6 billion worth of U.S. imports, with tariffs ranging from 15 to 25 to 50%, depending on the product. The levies will take effect on Tuesday, September 8th. The list does not include any energy-related countermeasures. A new study has found that at least 1 in 4 former NFL players who died between 2016 and 2021 had chronic traumatic encephalopathy. I'm messing that word, but it's CTE for short at the time of their death. A prevalence far higher than the general population, where less than 1% suffer from the disease. Of the 878 former NFL players who died between that time, 235 donated their brains for science, and they were found to have CTE. Because most players did not donate, researchers calculated the prevalence among the group must be between 25 and 98%. The study also found that 61% of NFL brain donors with CTE met the clinical criteria for dementia. And Target getting its hands slapped for a Halloween costume called offensive and hurtful to black people. Retailer didn't say what exactly it was, but it was reported it was called Kids Glow Under Blacklight Circus Clown. In a statement, Target said removing the costume is an important first step, and the company is closely looking at how this happened and what needs to change, ensuring it won't happen again. Makes sense? And that is your news to 8:16.
All right, so there it is. Thanks, Lisa, for the update. We've got things like makeup, smartphones, kitchen appliances, a few of the items being listed here on Canada's retaliatory tariffs.
700 different American products as they hit our hockey sticks and our honey.
So those are just a few examples of some of the categories. Details will be coming. I'm seeing metals. I'm seeing clothing and seafood as well being listed. Those are just, again, broad categories. The exact details to come. So those bits of information just starting to come out. Okay, we'll keep following that here. But we've had some interesting BC politics. We talked about this earlier in the show as well. Yet another BC Conservative has left the party. This is the story of Ian Payton. He's Delta South MLA, and he's going to join up with another BC Conservative that just a few days ago left. That is MLA Peter Millibar, so now an independent. Right. They both said they will together form another party in BC, another centre-right alternative.
With the two of them, okay.
Yeah, the two of them. Yeah. So joining Centre BC, which is another centre-right alternative, which doesn't have any MLAs.
We're confused now.
There's so many of these things. It's getting murky. But anyways, this is the latest, and it's just another sign of the BC Conservative Party take two. So we had the John Rustad version. Now we've got the Carrie Lynn Finley version. Still struggling with these fractures in the caucus, leading to more MLAs leaving, which just erupted yesterday again. So we got a take on that. Coming up next, we're going to be diving into BC politics after traffic and weather. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It's 8:20. And by the way, the morning show is brought to you by CUPE, Vancouver Island, working to deliver the public services island communities rely on. CUPE, better services, better communities. Okay, so for the traffic and weather, still no crashes or accidents. I'm not seeing any specific problems, and the volume delays are fairly typical for the summer conditions out of the West Shore into downtown Victoria. Actually, no, just reported to me a collision on Gorge Road East, not far from Harriet Road. I don't know how bad that is, but just seeing that report now. Could be a fender bender. Gorge Road East, Harriet Road. If you have details, let me know. Over to the weather forecast, where it is going to be a sunny day, maybe some smoke haze at times today, and some wind off the Wandafuca Straits. Highs of 24, a humidex of 29. That'll make it the warmest day of the week. It kind of cools off from here. I mean, not cold, but temperatures more in the 20-degree range. And by tomorrow night and Thursday, we've got a chance of showers in the forecast. Right now, warming up, though, into that warm day, 17 degrees.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
So when Peter Millibar, the MLA, left the BC Conservatives 11 days ago or so, there was a lot of speculation that others would follow. And then yesterday, that speculation became reality when Ian Payton another BC Conservative MLA, announced he was leaving the party and that he wants to establish a party with Millibar, who already left. Details to follow. We don't have details, just this intention announced by the two of them. A center-right alternative party they're hoping to form up as now just two independent MLAs. Somebody with a hot take on this. I've got a professor of economics from Langara who we've spoken to about BC politics before, but he also is a former BC Conservative candidate himself. So he does have an interesting relationship with this party. We love to talk to him. Brian Bergot is joining us on the line. Sir, how you doing? Oh, sorry, I've got to push a button to make you come up on the radio. They're button pressed. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me this morning.
Great to talk to you. So, like I said, just introducing you a little bit. You've got this. You're a professor of economics at Langara. You've got that take, but you also, I mean, you were involved in the BC Conservatives yourself. So you've got a personal relationship with this party. How do you feel watching this go the way it's going? With the first leader, John Rustad, struggling to keep this big tent together, and MLAs splitting off on either side of the political spectrum of the party, and now Carrie Lynn Findlay comes in for another attempt to have a better path forward, and it looks like the same thing's happening again. What are you thinking about this?
Yeah, we always knew, right? When we got I want to call it the forced merger in September 2024, when the BC Conservative and BC United just became one party, we always knew that at some point down the line, there would be some sort of ideological conflict between the two wings. So I guess it's a day of reckoning. The issue for me is really that Caroline Findlay and her team are not helping. This party was already divided, and we saw it in the leadership race. She won with 51%, 60 votes in total. But then instead of uniting the party, she has decided to just assume that she won with 80%, and you replace 80, 90% of the staff, and you just change completely, even though things were working in terms of polling and, fighting WDB. So I think that's the main issue I see out there.
Do you think, and I believe you've mentioned this on your social media, do you think in hindsight's 2020, I know, but in hindsight, was it a mistake for the BC United and the BC Conservatives to do that thing, where the BC United said, okay, we're going to step back and not run anybody, except here's some of our members that'll run with you. I mean, I guess that wasn't necessarily done at the high levels, but there were a number of candidates who would have been BC United candidates who decided to join up and run for the BC Conservatives themselves, now that, their own party wasn't running anymore. For all of those members, it seems like in hindsight, was that the right thing to do? Are we seeing that might have been a mistake?
I can see the argument that it was maybe a mistake. I mean, it was the right thing to do in the sense that it gave us the chance to really win government and beat WDB. But the way it was done so fast without really any discussion, and the fact that, the BC Conservative had risen from 2-3% to 30-35 by being truly a conservative party out there, and all of a sudden we were getting those moderates and those centrists out there without much say in it. I mean, again, we knew a day of reckoning would happen, and so I'm wondering sometimes if we hadn't done this, if we had one election where both parties were on the ballot and one had won clearly, then at least the other wing would know, to essentially stay quiet and be like, we know we're not the majority. We know we have to stay quiet. The issue right now is we see, Peter Millibar got barely 10% of this leadership race. He doesn't represent a large share of this party, at least at the base level. And so the idea that he can just leave and form his own party is a little bit ridiculous to me. I mean, it's not going to be successful outside of, getting 10% of the vote.
And so for you, again, you ran for the BC Conservatives. I mean, this is a party that you have felt aligned with before. Do you think that it makes sense for this party to try to represent, you've got the moderates, you've got the people further to the right, and like you said, the folks like Peter Millibar maybe don't fit ideologically in this. Whether or not they should go make their own party is another debate, I suppose. But is this a party that maybe I have 1,000 questions I want to ask it all at once. I'm trying to narrow this down. But do you think this party makes sense as it is with everybody in it, or should it sort of split off and represent its different factions more accurately?
I would rather have two parties. The issue is obviously the electoral system we have in BC and in Canada isn't conducive to this, right? If we split in two, then the NDP wins 70-80% of the seats, right? So we don't really, unless we somehow split off and don't run in the same ridings, but that's not something that is very common in Canada. So, and most people are not open to this. So I think staying together and trying to be this Big Tent party makes sense. It's all a question of management, right? Because more than anything, it's not so much the policies that Peter Miloba and Ian Paton disagree with. I mean, despite what they said, we saw it during the leadership race again just 3 months ago. Peter Miloba agreed with the other four candidates like 80-90% of the time. It's really not so much on policies. It's on style. It's how do you communicate? What kind of ads do you put out? How do you manage the caucus? So when it comes down to those issues, much more than left-wing, right-wing policies, they should really be able to work together. But I guess both sides are really not willing to compromise right now. So, I mean, at this point, I don't know, maybe two parties and you just make a deal, it almost happened, right, in 2024. For a while, Kevin Falcon and John Rustad were negotiating ridings, right? You take the interior, we take the island, you take Richmond, we take North Van. So maybe something like this would actually make more sense, but it's not typical in politics.
More drama this week with the BC Conservative Party, with MLA Ian Paton leaving, and we're getting a reaction to it from Brian Brago. He is a professor of economics at Langara, but he is also a former BC Conservative candidate himself with his own relationship with the party, which is why we love to talk to him and get his take on these things. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
We'll take a break. We got the 8:30 news coming up next, including more details on Canada's retaliatory counter tariffs on the U.S. We've just been learning those details within the last few minutes here. So, Lisa, with that story and more coming up next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. 40 years of Fringe magic. Experience Victoria Fringe Festival, August 26th through September 6th. Feel the roar at Pacific FC. Get your soccer tickets today at cplsoccer.com. West Shore Swap Shop and Market is at Rally at Royal Bay every Sunday. Support Goldstream Food Bank with a $2 admission or a food donation. Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:30 on Tuesday, August 25th, the warmest day of the week today with mostly sunny skies, temperatures into the mid-20s, and some humidity. All the details to follow, but right now the news begins. Here is Lisa Best.
We start with the heated emotions in Ottawa. The federal government upping tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminum products. The information out last hour, 25 to now 50% in retaliation for the U.S. imposing tariffs last week on nearly $28 billion worth of Canadian goods. Ottawa will also impose 50% tariffs on clothing and apparel, and a levy of 25% tariffs on appliances, dairy products, seafood, and certain steel and aluminum derivative products. Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne says the government is matching the dollar amount of the U.S. tariffs.
Canada's counter tariffs are designed primarily
to provide protection for Canadian industry impacted by U.S. tariffs and allow them to compete against U.S. products in the Canadian market. It's all about fairness. It's all about level playing field. It's all about supporting Canadian workers and Canadian businesses.
The list does not include any energy-related countermeasures. The Finance Minister, as well as Industry Minister Melanie Joly, Jobs and Family Minister Patty Hajdu, and the Minister responsible for Federal Development Agency in Southern Ontario, Evan Solomon, making the announcement in Ottawa. Also, tariff-related measures coming to help Canadians through this. All that coming to light throughout the morning. The counter tariffs set to take effect in exactly 2 weeks from today on Tuesday, September 8th. Meanwhile, the U.S. president said the U.S. is giving serious consideration to changing the name of Lake Ontario. He wants it to be Lake America. This after trade talks fell apart. Trump says the U.S. does not expect to continue doing business with Ontario much longer. In an interview with CNN today, Ontario Premier Doug Ford reacted to Trump's latest online remarks.
Well, I think it's a lot of rhetoric because we're the number one customer to 17 states, number 2 to 12 others, Ontario alone. If Ontario was just standalone, would be the third largest trading partner in the world. Canada is the number one customer.
Tensions, of course, have continued to worsen since the trade negotiations fell apart on Friday. The Trump administration, of course, has Canada under 50% tariffs on a wide array of goods, $28 billion worth. Target making apologies after removing a children's Halloween costume. It was widely criticized as racist.
The images of the costume are being compared to racist caricatures, evoking blackface. Target now acknowledges the costume should have never been for sale, saying, "As a company, we got this wrong, and we are deeply sorry. We know this is especially hurtful for our Black guests, team members, and partners. Removing the costume is an important first step, and we are looking closely at how this happened."
Golf company Callaway is apologizing over an ad for a new driver that depicts violence against women. The video was posted by its media partner Good Golf, shows a woman reaching for a driver as the company's co-founder Garrett Clark runs over to her and knocks her flat to the ground. Then he hovers over her and warns, "Don't touch my driver." Good Golf took the video down after widespread online backlash. It is a very disturbing video to watch. It doesn't feel like you're watching an ad at all. Callaway didn't mention whether it's reviewing its partnership with Good, but did say it's going to learn from this and do better moving forward. And since the school year is fast approaching and everyone's shopping back to school in record numbers, experts are also talking about kids' health. They say it's worth easing your kids back into a routine to get a good night's sleep. Preschoolers need about 13 hours of shut-eye. Tweens need between 9 and 12. Teens do best with about 8 hours of shut-eye, 8 to 10 that is. And to get back on track, experts also recommend setting earlier bedtime, about a week or two before school, or gradually going to bed 15 to 30 minutes earlier each night. A Toronto-based family entertainment company has bought Personality AI, which uses generative AI to create interactive characters. The artificial intelligence company is behind the interactive Peppa Pig, which is developed by Hasbro, allows children to talk to the character. Under the agreement, WildBrain is paying $11 million US in cash and $1 million in shares. It's also agreed to pay an additional $2 million US on the first anniversary of the closing of the deal. That is your CFAX News to 8:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking you if you agree with the federal government walk away from the current deal, the U.S. trade deal that was presented earlier this week on Friday. 95% are saying yes, it was good to walk away from the table at this point. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, the iHeartRadio app, and you can also text us at 71010 with your opinion on the matter and your thoughts.
Lots of text there.
Because we've been trying to filter through them and pick some of the gems out, but they seem to be all golden, so we're trying to get to them. Yeah. That's your news day 37.
Lots of takes at 7:10:10. We're also just in the last few minutes, and you had it in your news too, Lisa, getting the details of what we're counter-tariffing, what tariffs will Canada put on U.S. products. So we'll continue to get into that. Stand by for more details. But first, we got to get into the sports, where the Victoria Shamrocks lacrosse team have a do-or-die situation again tonight versus the Coquitlam Adnacs. They got to go over to the mainland, though, and face the Adnacs on their home court. It's Game 6 of the WLA Final Series with the Adnacs up 3-2. However, if the Shamrocks can get a win tonight and stave off elimination, they will force a Game 7 at home at the Q Center in Colwood this Thursday. So we'll see how tonight's game goes. For the baseball scene, let's talk about the Blue Jays. It's now or never time for the Blue Jays as well, as they get back into action tonight with just 30 games to go in the regular season. TSN's Steve Phillips says every single one of these next games are going to matter, but they're also against teams with losing records. So kind of anything could happen.
Nobody would have predicted that this was a chance, right? That with 30 games left, they legitimately have a chance to be a playoff team. Everybody is under 500 on the remainder of the schedule. They've got the second easiest strength of schedule over the remaining part of the season. And so why not the Blue Jays? I think they've underachieved. They're better than what they performed.
Toronto remains 2 games back of a playoff spot as of this morning. Hey, Seattle Mariners, they had a win last night, beating the visiting Philadelphia Phillies 9-2. That's your CFAX Sports to 8:38. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort, South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. CFAX traffic and weather, still a fairly easy commute out there. Going back to the Starlight Stadium, area Langford into downtown Victoria, still taking about 30 minutes for the commute as an example of how it's going. For the West Shore commute, no major collisions anywhere else. We did have that report earlier today of a fender bender at Gorge Road East near Harriet. I have not seen any more about that. I think whatever happened there seems to be cleared up, but if you know otherwise, let me know at 7:10:10. But that seems to be all cleared up. And for the weather forecast today, it is going to be a sunny day, highs up to 24, some humidity in the air making it feel warmer, but some wind off the Wandafuka Strait, getting a little gusty this afternoon and overnight. It'll make it feel a bit cooler. Tonight it's clear, lows to 14. Tomorrow it's a little cooler, 20 degrees, and clouding over until by the evening we're into a chance of showers, which will last through Thursday, then clearing up again for Friday and the weekend. On the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto still up 157 points to 36,872. Markets just shrugging off all of this trade war stuff. Dow in New York is up 66 to 53,483. NASDAQ up 105 to 26,085. Canadian dollar at 72.3 cents US.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
So I've just been behind the scenes kind of trying to look up
Looking at the list.
lists of what are we tariffing? What are we doing? Because this is just coming out this hour. So I've got a list here. I want to work through it with everybody because I'm sure you're just as curious as me.
We're in.
There's two categories. One is the things that we're tariffing at 50% and a list of things we're tariffing at 25%. On the 50% list, so bigger tariffs, perfumes and makeups. So stuff
that's a big one.
So if they're coming in from the United States, we're going to be charging a 50% tariff on those items.
Right.
This one's interesting. Smartphones. I was scratching my head because most major smartphone companies tend to have some kind of U.S. connection, but I think there's going to be some nuance here because even if American companies might be the ones making, say, the Apple iPhone is an American company, but it's not made in the States. They make those things in Asia, in China, those countries.
But Donald Trump's been pushing to have them made in the U.S.
However, you're right. But I think even if it's an American company, but if it was made somewhere else, like if we import it from China, I don't think it's covered by the tariff. If we bring it in across the border from the U.S., it is.
That would make sense.
The reason I'm bringing this up and making a big deal out of it is because I think you might hear smartphones and you'd be like, oh no, all of the smartphones are about to go up 50%.
Yeah, there's going to be something you trigger over here.
I don't think that's the case. I think there will probably be some smartphones or maybe some supply chains that got to move around a little bit. Maybe like the big box stores will just get the shipment from China instead of coming through the States or something.
And the percentage that it's made in the U.S. too. And let's face it, we already trigger over the price of smartphones.
Yeah.
So we're closely watching these prices now.
Milk products, that's an interesting one. I feel like that's a barb. I mean, we don't get a lot of dairy from the U.S.
No, the U.S. wants to give us its dairy.
Yeah. This has been a big one of the trade irritants. Of course, they want more access to sell their dairy products in Canada.
Correct.
Interesting fact that came out during all of this, we do allow a certain amount. Yes, we have a very protected supply management system for dairy in Canada, but there is a small quota of American dairy that is allowed to come in, and we don't even meet that. Canadians...
Well, we're talking things like cheeses and yogurts. Yeah, okay.
Canadians are allowed to bring in more. We just don't, which is interesting. And now...
We have our own.
There's a tariff on those ones we do bring in.
Okay.
Tableware and kitchenware, plywood products and paper products. That's interesting. Again, softwood lumber and
right back at you.
Our wood in Canada has been a trade irritant for us, and there we go. Exactly, right back at you seems to be the message there. Honey, molasses, and malt extracts, doors, windows, and frames, and cutlery are all on the 50%. Yeah,
it's not very sweet.
we
that's
make
only
lots
sweet
of honey.
to it.
We make lots of honey.
We have good bees.
Then that was the 50% list. On the 25% tariff list, a variety of seafood products.
Just wanted to mention, did you mention clothing when you mentioned makeup?
Did I? I didn't.
That's a big one.
I'm looking at where clothing fits onto this list. I believe it's in the
50%.
Is it the 50% list?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I saw, and that's a big one.
Because I do see carpets and textiles in the 25% tariff list.
Okay.
I also see...
Double check that.
I also see a variety of seafood products. I see large kitchen appliances. That's interesting. And this is weird because I mentioned milk products were in the 50% tariff. Cheese and curd products are separate, and they're in the 25% tariff list. I don't understand why.
So it's milk that's 50 because it's, we're doing tit for tat with the milk, and then cheeses and, so it is 50% on clothing and apparel.
Now, that's not an exhaustive list, but that's sort of the broad categories. I'm sure you can start diving into those, like what appliance and what smartphone and what milk. But
these are all the things that affect you on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. So that is the list so far that we've got out of the federal government just this morning, the items Canada will be placing a counter tariff on in retaliation for what the U.S. is doing. So we'll continue to follow that.
Okay.
Appliances are on there.
Yeah, well, I just bought a mixer, so.
Yeah.
There you go. All this stuff. Whenever you go to buy it, 2 weeks from now, depending on supply, I mean, if it's already in stock, that's different, but we're going to see our prices change possibly.
September 8th, is when those kick in, and which does give time for a walk back. Again, these have been threatened. Could in the next 2 weeks something happen? Things could change.
Well, and some people are saying counter tariffs aren't necessarily the way to go. You don't fight fire with fire. But what's our recourse?
Yeah,
just sit and wait. I don't really know, and it's who we're dealing with that we have to consider too. So.
Texter at 71010 says a tariff does not apply just because a shipment physically passes through the U.S. en route to another destination, provided it remains under customs control and does not formally enter the U.S. market.
Right.
And the texter continues with, their cheese and milk is subpar. So,
wow.
There you go.
Hey, I like American farmers just as I like Canadian farmers, and I don't blame the farmers at all. They're just trying to make a living.
It's just texters being spicy, and I get it. You know,
Hi, be spicy. We have all reason to be spicy.
Exactly. 8:46. Over to the headlines. Here's Lisa.
Conservation officers in North Vancouver warning the public to avoid a popular trail this after another bear attack. It was a black bear attack. A man was hiking, walking along the Richard Jurin Trail Monday morning when the bear followed him for some time before it finally swiped at his leg. He did try to scare it away, but failed. Officers say signage have been installed in the area. The investigation is ongoing. Don't believe they're looking for the bear at this point. More on the federal government upping tariffs on American steel and aluminum, slapping new tariffs on U.S. clothing and other goods coming into Canada. Canada's tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminum going up from 25 to 50% now. The government imposing a 50% tariff on U.S. clothing and apparel, a levy of 25% on appliances, some dairy products, some seafood, and certain steel and aluminum derivative products. In retaliation, of course, this is for the new 50% tariffs from the U.S. on nearly $28 billion worth of Canadian goods. And the government also announcing a $7.5 billion aid package that includes new loan programs for businesses and more flexibility for employment insurance. So some help for our Canadians, hardworking Canadians. And Ryan triggers over this story, so I want to play it again. Australia's recorded music industry says tracks wholly generated by AI will be barred now from official charts. Australian Record Industry Association announced a crackdown today after a variation of Madonna's pop hit Like a Prayer, created by a Australian producer using AI-generated vocals and drums, spent 16 weeks in the charts. The association says some AI-assisted music will remain eligible as long as humans wrote it, performed the lead vocal, and the primary instruments, as well as some other requirements too. They don't want the machine doing it; they want the talent behind it. Right, Ryan?
You know what drives me crazy? Sorry, I
had to play it again.
It just drives me nuts. So, instead, you could just listen to Madonna's song.
I actually don't like it. I like Madonna's. I like her voice.
But instead,
and it sounds very canned. Is that the word?
And then, you're right. But then, here's the thing. 'Cause I don't know the specifics of that. I've just heard that. I don't know.
Well, what do you think?
But a lot of times, though, you got all these streaming companies, right? You got the Spotify's and all these things. If they go and make AI for free, make a version of a song that they own the rights to, and then they can stream, and they get people to stream that instead of one by a real artist.
Well, that's a problem.
Then they don't have to spend any royalties.
That's right.
You don't have to pay any of these real artists
can they
to stream
actually
their
do
songs.
This?
Yeah, they are doing this. And so if you're Spotify or some of these other things, just have AI make a bunch of music that you own the rights to that people will stream, and then you don't have to pay any real artists.
Yeah, that we can't have.
That's no good.
That's not tenable.
The whole thing drives me crazy. Anyways, now I'm mad. Thanks, Lisa.
Be mad. It's a good day to be mad. We are disgruntled today.
I'm breathing.
That's good.
Okay. It's a good thing I have a really cool...
Find your zen because we have more music coming up.
Because we're going to talk about real music. So I'm glad that I'm going to get grounded here because we're going to talk about a new country music festival in Langford happening this weekend. Details ahead.
Jade's Pet Rescue on CFAX 1070.
Hey, it's Jade, and I love fur babies. Who's a good doggy? Who's a good doggy? Which is why we're bringing you Jade's Pet Rescue. Whether your dwelling lacks a doggo or your crib needs a kitty, we're teaming up with the BCSPCA to play matchmaker. Let's find our new four-legged friend some forever homes. Keep an eye on our socials for the next pet up for adoption.
Jade's Pet Rescue is powered by Galaxy Motors. More info at CFAX1070.com.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather continues to be a fairly easy commute out there. If you have evidence to the contrary, text me at 71010. But so far, no major crashes, no major incidents on our major routes. For BC Ferries, no sailing waits for the weather. It is a sunny, warm day. The warmest of the week will be today. It kind of cools off a little bit from here. Highs of 24 today. A humidex of 29, so feeling quite muggy, and some wind blowing off the water to cool things off if you're right by the Juan de Fuca Strait or kind of on that western exposed side of the capital region. Clear skies tonight, lows to 14. Tomorrow, a mainly sunny start, but there's going to be a chance of showers by tomorrow evening, lasting through Thursday. Then, Friday and the weekend, it's clearing up, mix of sun and cloud. Temperatures around about 20 degrees. I would say that is perfect music festival conditions, which we're going to talk about in just a second because there's one coming to Starlight Stadium this weekend. Thrifty Foods brings you the morning show. Right now, through August 26th, receive 1,000 Scene Plus points for every $200 Smile card you purchase at Thrifty Foods.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Yes, you can see and hear the likes of Doc Walker, Aaron Pratchett set to headline the Country Music Festival going on in Langford this weekend. Starlight Stadium pitches itself as a family-friendly double-stage event, and it's the first time we've seen this festival, if I'm not mistaken. It's called the Country Roads Festival, organized by Dylan Stone with Cascadia Concerts, who is joining us on the phone right now. Sir, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
So am I correct that this is the first time this festival's happened?
This is it. Yeah, this is number one on Saturday.
Ooh, that's exciting. Country music. We've obviously seen a big resurgence in country music, I feel like, myself. And, you know, here on the island, we've had the Laketown Country Music Festival that has been very successful. And now we got this one right here in Langford. Tell me where this idea came from.
Yeah, actually, I at Starlight Stadium a few years back called Langford Rocks, where we had a bunch of bands play. And I had the idea after the event. We just saw how great of a how much the in the area are hungry for events. And it just seemed like to put a country music festival in Langford.
Hey, Dylan, can I bug you for a second? Your phone is kind of breaking up a little bit. Do you want to, like, walk around and see if you can find some reception? Sorry, just all of a sudden it's just disappearing on us.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. Let me see if this works. Oh. Is this any better?
That is better. Sorry, I apologize for doing one of those can you hear me now moments for you live on the radio, but I wanted everybody to be able to hear you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm out in Souk right now, so you know how reception gets out there.
So take it away again. You mentioned that you did this rock festival, a rock concert a little while back, and you're like, hey, we should do more of this. And then why country? What's going on here?
It just seemed like a no-brainer to me to put. I mean, I love country music, and I love when it's in rural communities, country fair, and that sort of thing. And Langford, the chosen Souk area, just seems like the right place to do a country music festival. And Sunfest is an amazing event, but I think there's enough room and enough appetite for country these days that we could host a second event in our neck of the woods.
So it's billed as a two-stage festival. How does that work?
Yeah, we have two big stages. We have our main stage and then our side stage. So basically, we're going to have music playing all day long. We're creating kind of a festival rodeo atmosphere at the stadium. And we got a couple great local bands from the Duke Saloon are going to be playing on the side stage between the headlining acts.
Oh, cool. And who are the headliners? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we got Doc Walker's coming out from the prairies there. I mean, those guys have been going for 2 decades now and are, you know, more number one hits I can count on my hands. Amazing act. And then Aaron Pratchett as well, which is, you know, one of Canada's best long-standing country rocker party guys. He's amazing. Really nice guy, too. So those guys are going to bring an incredible energy. And I'm actually bringing in one of the bands that did the Langford Rocks Festival called Eagle Eyes. And they do the music of the Eagles. So we're throwing that in for a little bit of fun. Local guys, Born Reckless, are playing as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and more. It's going to be a great weekend. Again, it's Saturday. It is the Country Roads Country Music Festival. First time they've done this at Starlight Stadium. Gates opening up at 3 p.m. And like you said, you got a side stage going. You got the main stage. There's always going to be something happening. Sounds like a great time. And there's a kids zone, family-friendly event. Are tickets still available? And if so, where can people get them?
Yeah, tickets available. You can grab one online right now. countryroadsfest.ca, and we're also going to have the box office open on day of. It's a nice big field there, so we got lots of room, and we got mechanical bull, we got a kids zone, we got barbecues that are going to be on site on the field, so it's just going to be a big kind of fun tailgate party.
Well, Dylan, thanks so much for telling us about it, and good luck with the festival. We're right out of time. Have a great day, everybody.